wanted to go into it a bit further. Like in Afghanistan, they underestimated um, their enemy greatly because they didn't understand the terrain. Like the Afghans, they were in
Oh
caves,
yeah,
and they were like, "We'll just bomb them," and they were like, "No, we're under mountains." So
right.
yeah, so the same thing happened.
Yeah, the graveyard of empires for a reason.
Mm, yeah,
Yeah, that's where empires go to die.
yeah,
You know? Yeah,
that's
because everyone's gonna
brilliant.
figure. I mean, if you've got the terrain and then you've got the weather and everything else, the elements,
Mm,
and if you're fighting an enemy that knows all of those elements, I mean, there's, I mean, my God, Frank Herbert wrote a whole Dune series about this. I mean, I know Afghanistan isn't like Dune or Arrakis. It's not like desert. It's mountainous like terrain with trees and everything.
mm,
But it's the same basic idea that, okay, well, yeah, if your enemy knows their terrain so much better than you will ever know,
yeah.
you're gonna have a tough time, trying to make that fly.
Well, that's why I saw someone had set up their automated home system, whatever it was, Siri or something. They set up these emergency commands. So if they hit and one of the first one was kill all the lights. So if you get a home invasion and you kill all the lights in your house, you've got the advantage. You know your
Oh yeah,
terrain.
you know right where everything is.
Yeah,
Yeah. And especially, and they're screwed, especially if they're barefoot, because they're going to hit stuff with their toes. Just
yeah. Just throw
uh,
throw a bunch of Legos on the floor.
right.
Mess
No
with
kidding.
like
That's
Home Alone.
the.
Chung.
But
Just
yeah, I mean, you're right. If you automatically have the upper hand, um, they're not sure what they're walking into, and you may have, I don't know, like in my case, like, I mean, the house that I build, I mean, like the layout that I show the counties, if that's not going to be a layout that I actually build,
mm,
it's
yeah,
not going to be the same thing there,
yeah,
so. Um, and I think, I think others should keep that in mind. That's one of the other reasons that I tell younger people, like, if you have an opportunity to build your house as opposed to buy like a pre-made house, you actually have a bit, you have an advantage
yeah, yeah,
if you can pull that off.
yeah.
So just security wise, so
Mm. It's
not to get too serious about it, but yeah, I mean that you do have an advantage.
yeah. Have you seen the new building? It's interesting they keep coming out with these new building materials. There's one that's basically foam blocks, and they
Mhm.
fit together really well, and then you fill them
Yeah,
with cement. It's kind of brilliant.
yeah. Yeah, I think they're called ICS blocks or construction.
Mm,
I saw them about 10 years ago,
okay.
and they're a pretty cool idea. They go together like giant Legos. That's exactly how they go
Yeah,
together, like giant Legos. They just kind of stack together like blocks. But in the center is where you pour concrete.
yeah.
So you put concrete down in the center of them, and they make them from everything from 4 inches of concrete up to, I want to say it's like 12 inches
Yeah.
thick of concrete, and then you've got 6 inches of foam on either side. So you have 2 foot thick walls. Well, then you've got to put your siding and then your interior walls. So I mean, you have 2.5 feet of wall, on your exterior in your house.
Yeah.
So it's, you're building a castle
Yeah.
for all intents and purposes. That's really what you're doing, and it's a brilliant idea. It's
Yeah.
really cool. It's a bit out of my budget to go about it with something like that, but I mean, I'll probably look into it. When that time comes, I got to finish the other house first.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but it is a pretty cool construction idea in terms of the way it's set up, and it's very strong. And in terms of your insulation, I mean, you could probably heat your house with a candle. You know, I
Yeah.
mean, it just wouldn't take much. I mean, just two people standing there, the radiant heat off of your body would probably warm your house.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
because of how well insulated it would be.
Yeah. You're living in an esky, like a cooler bin. I think that's what you call them.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it's very similar actually.
Yeah. It's
I
brilliant.
built a walk-in fridge for my restaurant a while back. I mean, like, this is years ago, but I remember having to build build it, because you buy the components and then somebody has to put it together. Well, that somebody's usually me.
Mm.
And so I had to build this, and it was about the size of this room that I'm in. And yeah, it's the same thing. It's like really thick foam, the walls, and
Yeah.
then there's steel on both sides, galvanized steel on both sides, and then you just stack them together, and then you turn these little cam locks, and that's what locks them all together with insulation in between them. So yeah, I mean, it's airtight.
Yeah.
When you're all done, it actually, I mean, you actually can suffocate in there if you stay in there too long. For a couple of days, you actually can suffocate
Yeah.
because it is an airtight seal.
Yeah.
But yeah, same basic idea. So if you're building a house like that, yeah, I mean, it would make sense. And to put your plumbing in, or your electric, if I remember right, I saw the guys. Now I don't know if they're doing it this way anymore. They may have changed the building, the way these guys are doing it now. But back when I saw it, was they just took a hot knife, and would just draw where they wanted to go across the foam, because it would melt.
Right.
And then
Yeah.
you just put the wire inside the channel. That was
Mm.
it. It was really fast. And
That's brilliant.
so it was pretty cool. Yeah, it was pretty cool. I don't know if they do that anymore, if they do it like that.
Yeah.
They may have better stuff now, but again, this is 10 years ago when I saw that stuff. So but
Yeah.
it was pretty cool to see how they did it.
I imagine it would not be hard to put ventilation in these things as well. You just build some kind of
Yeah,
vent.
just build your vents.
Yeah, into it.
Put in a fan. If it were me, I mean, I guess how I'd probably do it is, you put a regular ventilation fan to circulate your air, which
Mm.
you'd want to do anyway. And you want to filter your air as well. But also, if like police are throwing tear gas through the windows, this is stuff I think about. You have to think about this kind of
Yeah.
stuff. You could have
You
a
could be.
really big fan that you could turn on that would suck all that, all of that, the CS gas out
Yeah.
and blow it out of the house. So it's like, if you design it right, then again, you maintain some kind of tactical superiority, for over these clowns that they're hiring nowadays.
It's definitely
And
what it bears thinking about.
it does, and it's only because of what, I don't know. I mean, when I say stuff like this, it's just because I think, I mean, I look objectively at what we've seen. I mean, well, in Australia, you guys in Australia, what did during the convid thing, they had police locking people up for going out to the beach and shit like that.
Mm.
Complete waste of time, massive waste of money, and to say nothing of the PR that is. That's just a terrible. The optics are horrible on something like that.
Yeah.
Here in the States, just yesterday, I guess there was video of it. These guys have actually been charged. Were two cops that were on duty throwing beverages out the window of a moving car and hitting people in the heads. I'm not kidding. Like, you would think that I was making that story up, and it's like, dude, no, that was an actual thing, and these two guys have both been caught and they've been charged and so on. And like, these
Wow.
were active duty, they were on duty cops doing this.
That's amazing.
And it wasn't like and it wasn't because they filmed themselves doing this.
They filmed themselves.
This is oh my god, it's retard level. Like, it's insane. They filmed themselves doing this random crime spree. It's not like an accidental thing where you're drinking a beverage and you're like, oh, I don't like this iced tea anymore, and you just kind of huck it out the window and you
Yeah.
accidentally hit somebody. You could probably talk your way out of that, right?
Yeah.
Offer to apologize, mow their lawn, whatever. You could probably apologize your way out of that. No, this was like 10 instances of them doing this. And they filmed themselves doing it.
Well,
It was nuts. And it's like, what the hell is the matter with? And these are guys, and also you would think, oh well, these have got to be like 22-year-old kids. Oh no, they're in their 40s.
really?
These are grown men in their 40s doing this. Like, what the
Jesus.
fuck, man? Yeah, and it's horrible too to think about that. That, like, dude, that's the level of people you hired. Are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah. They do. They have psychological tests to weed out anyone that's too intelligent or too empathetic.
Right? Yes.
Like, it's very weird. Like, there is a specific group of people they're looking for.
It reminds me of that character that I don't know if you ever saw it down there, but there was a movie called Observe and Report. and it's
Mm.
Seth Rogen is in it, and Ray Liotta and Aziz Ansari. I mean, like there's actually quite a few people in it
Mm.
that are mid to high end famous. I watch it because I mean like Ray Liotta is a he was a great actor.
Yeah.
And well, anyway, the Seth Rogen character plays an actual mall cop,
Okay.
and it's with it's every stereotype of a mall cop you could possibly imagine in this one character. And it just reminds me that character reminds me of a lot of the people they're hiring today
Mm.
into police work. And in the movie, the police actually turn him down. He's actually a wannabe cop kind of thing.
Mm.
And they actually turn him down and say, dude, you're like, no, we can't hire you. You're batshit crazy. There's no way we could hire you. And it's like you cut to like 15 years later.
Yeah.
It's like you're almost looking for those guys.
Well, I remember.
Like why? Well, I mean, I guess if you don't want people asking too many questions, well, that'd do it.
Well, didn't I don't know how long ago it was, but I remember something about this. Maybe it was 10 years ago. They had a hiring crisis in the police force, and they lowered their standards, and they were just accepting people. They just needed bodies, and so they
Yeah.
just opened it up, and so I mean, this is the result.
It's no different than the mass immigration thing that you
Mm.
see me tweet about all the time. That's like, like, oh, there's a shortage. No, there's no shortage. It's that you're either not paying enough to entice people to do that job,
Yeah.
or you're treating people terribly,
Mm.
or some combination of the two. And when it comes to police work, I don't think that anybody in their right mind, if you really had like a serious conversation with them, they don't have a problem with cops making 3 times the money they make right now.
Mm.
I don't have an issue with it if you're going to do a good job and you're not going to be abusing citizens, you're not going to abuse their rights, you're not going to, like, I mean, and you're going to use common sense.
Mm.
You're going to be an intelligent, thinking, rational human being. Your goal is going to be to de-escalate a situation, not try to escalate and make it into an episode of fucking cops. Because there's a bunch of these assholes that have this weird mentality. They see movies and they think like, oh, that it's going to be like in the movies. So at some point in my career, I'm going to be diving over the hood of a car in slow motion with 2 guns, right? And there's pigeons in the background in slow motion, kind of thing, and hitting your target, with two, like, that's not fucking reality, dude.
Yeah.
That's never gonna happen,
Yeah.
and it's not a hot fuzz thing. Like, dude, no, it's not gonna fucking happen. Like,
Mm.
statistically, you know, most of what you're gonna deal with is gonna be boring.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I mean, that's the vast majority is gonna be boring shit.
Yeah.
But that's what you want. That's actually good, because that means that your city is actually not tearing itself apart. If you have all
It
kinds of crazy action and drama, that's
yeah.
bad.
It should be a boring job. Like I've known many great
Yeah.
cops, many good cops, in my time, but I've also known some pretty evil ones.
Mhm.
But the cop that, like, they now do it on a rotation basis here. It's a small town. Um, it was a very boring post, but when I was growing up here, we had one cop that everyone knew, and he would get like his, second in command. They'd rotate them, but we always had one guy, and everyone knew him. He was a big part of the community. You could go to him. He enforced the law really well. It kept a really good sense of
Mhm.
policing the community, how it was needed, and it wasn't. He didn't abuse it. It was just very good. But then I don't know. When I went to the city, I started running into these psychopaths that would, they
Yeah.
were just there to.
Yeah.
I always got the feeling from them, it was like when you're entering the law, you're entering the same game. Criminals and cops, you're playing the same board, and
That's how I see it too, in
yeah,
most cases.
yeah.
I mean, the mentality is pretty much the same.
Yeah,
You know, it takes. Have you ever seen the Coen Brothers movie No Country for Old Men? I'm sure you've seen it.
I love that movie.
It's a great movie. It's probably top 10 best movies ever made. I mean, it's an incredible movie.
Yeah.
And the character that I always think of is like Sheriff Bell,
Mm.
which is the Tommy Lee Jones character. Here's a guy that isn't he's not wanting drama and crazy action and like no he's the antithesis of that.
Yeah.
He's the opposite end of that spectrum who is trying to desperately talk some sense into somebody who has lost his way.
Yeah.
And that's the kind of thing that I don't think the money matters. I think that if you talk to people, most people don't have a problem with paying guys like that lots of money.
Mm.
Dude, write them a blank check. Fuck, who cares? um but but it has to be something like that, not just somebody there that's just a drama junkie,
Yeah.
that's just there to try and get even for bullshit in high school.
Yeah.
like dude,
Yeah. That's brutal.
it's time to probably move on from that. Let it fucking go, man.
Yeah.
But yeah, there is something to be said, I think, for that personality, that personality testing,
Mm-hmm.
where again, to me, I would want like a pretty cerebral type of person, and someone who would want to like just kind of keep the peace, right?
Yeah.
You're not trying to enforce, because it's not possible. There's 80 million in the states. I don't know how it is in Australia, but in the states there's something like an estimated 80 million laws. That's ridiculous. Nobody can enforce that stupid shit. They don't
Jesus.
even know how many laws they've created. That's why it's an estimated 80 million,
Yeah.
because they just don't know. They've created so many laws upon laws, and then there's case law and rulings and on and on, all this other kind of stuff. And it's like there's no practical way to do any of that. So what you do is you just kind of you look around for people that are causing harm or loss, and if they're not causing harm or loss, you leave them the fuck alone. It's really kind of that simple.
Yeah.
Just there's a, it just seems like there's just other things you could be doing with your time than than harassing some stoner or some shit like that. Sitting in an alley getting high or something. That just seems like a low priority to me,
Yeah.
as opposed to all the other shit that and it's not like there's a shortage of horrible shit in this world to go focus on.
Mm.
Like there's a
Yeah.
lot of it.
Yeah. There's
It seems
plenty.
like you would want to spend your time, I would think, doing something like that, as
Yeah.
opposed to harassing like people doing like, dude, if they're not causing any harm or loss, just it's move on.
Mm. Yeah. The I, I remember seeing on social media a while ago people just show these laws that were legitimate laws in the states.
Mhm,
And it'd be stuff like it's illegal to marry your donkey or something, or it's illegal to
mhm.
get your donkey drunk, and you'd be like, when was this happening? Why did you need to
Right.
create this
Yeah.
law?
What was going on that caused this law to be a thing? Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and there is weird shit like that, and they used to call those old blue book laws, I think is what they called that, or blue laws,
Okay.
that were from. There was also a bunch of stuff in the South that was usually in a lot of the Southern Baptists, the Baptist church, they would, a lot of there'd be a lot of influence, a lot of religious influence,
Mm.
and so it would cause, of course they would, a lot of these activist groups, because we think of, at least in the States nowadays, when you think of an activist group, you think of the chicks with the shit coming out of their nose that nobody fucking likes.
Yeah.
Everybody thinks is fucking hideous, and I don't know who is telling these girls to do this shit, because it's the most unattractive goddamn thing you could probably ever do to your face,
Mm.
and not because of the nose ring thing, but because it looks like there's shit coming out of your nose, right? I
It
mean,
literally does. Yeah.
it looks like and so it's like that what's probably the most unattractive thing you could actually do. You
Mm.
think of people like that with the crazy fucking purple and pink hair, screaming about some crazy shit that nobody fucking cares about and nobody has ever cared about.
Mm.
That's what we think of as activists. But back in the day, there was the religious activists, which were, I would say, just as bad.
Yeah.
Make a law to make this illegal, make a law to make that illegal. And it's like, and there's just this problem of there's no way to, at a certain point, you make everything illegal and nobody can really do anything.
Yeah.
And I think that's personally, I think that's actually done a lot of damage to younger people to this day, because now there's so many cameras everywhere. Like, you can't get away with any of the shit that we did as kids.
Mm.
As a Gen Xer, you just can't.
Yeah.
There's fucking cameras every 5 feet now,
Yeah.
and everybody has the ubiquity of a camera in their pocket now, sometimes two.
Yeah.
And so you can't get away with anything, and everything's illegal. Nothing's fun. Nobody can get any good lewds anymore,
Yeah.
and everything sucks.
Yeah.
It's like there's I saw this comedian that she was talking about Gen X. It was actually pretty funny. I just happened to see it like just a minute ago,
Yeah.
before you clicked on, and she was talking about how, like, that that Gen Xers used to go out and do stuff, right? And we, for example, she was like, we would go, you got a car so that you could drive to go have sex with somebody.
Yeah.
Now you have young people that they're not even having sex now. They've
Yeah.
just kind of given up on that altogether.
Yeah.
And like, that is really fucking weird. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think it is just because everybody is so goddamn scared of everything now.
Well,
They're
people are snitching on it. Like you say, everyone's got a phone. People are literally snitching on each other. We're kind of, that's rewarded. I mean, in a lot of cases,
yeah,
it's fair enough. Someone's
and,
being,
and all it's rewarded with usually a lot of times is just social media clout.
that's
There's
it.
not even any money involved.
Yeah.
It's fucking ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like, this post is going to make me eight cents.
Mm.
Like, really? Like, what?
Yeah.
Dude, how about this? I'll give you $8 to not post anything. How about that? I mean, like, Jesus Christ, man.
Yeah. I think if someone ever manages the technology where it like shuts out all, like, it just cuts off all video feeds somehow, and you can wear this little thing and it just you're invisible. Some kind of reverse Faraday cage.
Like a jamming.
Yeah.
Like, it does something or just shut. Yeah, I mean, it's no wonder that so many, I think now, really kind of long. And I see this every now and again, myself included. You'll see videos of Amish people, right? So again, in the States, we have Amish people.
Yeah.
I don't know if they have that or something like that. I'm sure I'm sure
Yeah, something similar, but yeah.
Like Mennonites or something like that. Anyway, but we have in the States, we have Amish people, and they kind of stay to themselves for the most part, and they build stuff, and they have feast days, and the women folk make all this. I've seen these spreads. These are like, I mean, these are the kinds of foods that, like, people dream about, like
Yeah.
these incredible foods that
Mm.
these dishes that these chicks make. And that's the kind of life that they end up having, that and there's no tech really involved in any of that process there. And I see a lot of people, there's almost sort of a yearning for that now, to kind of, like, hold on, maybe this wasn't such a good idea, or if it is a good idea, maybe we need to start going back into, like, some moderation,
Yeah.
and sort of like, maybe we can do tech, but at the same time, maybe we need to not be 24/7,
Mm.
and have this stuff crammed up our ass all day long,
Yeah.
with constant monitoring of everything.
Mm.
I will not forgive the Orange Messiah for that Palantir bullshit.
Yeah, that's,
I think that's complete crap, that to even do something like that. And it's just to try and control, again, Americans. It has nothing to do with anybody else. They don't care about any of this. And it's just to control Americans.
yeah.
And yeah, I think there's more folks that are kind of getting that way. I certainly run into a lot in my sphere that are wanting to move out. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? They're wanting to, like, move away from all of this.
Most people I know, want to escape the system.
Yeah, they may want to take their phone with them and have, like, this,
Mm.
like, communication,
Yeah.
but on their terms,
Mm.
right?
Exactly.
It's, you know, there was I had this. I'm not trying to monopolize the conversation,
No, please, please
but
go.
there was this idea that I kind of had floating around in my head, like, I thought about this, and I've asked this question before. If you're an average person, just a regular normal guy or girl, doesn't make a difference, and you suddenly somehow had $1 billion. Okay? Just, I don't know, just what an enormous amount of money, whatever. But we'll just use $1 billion. And what would a normal person do? It probably wouldn't be go around the world trying to figure out how to make more money.
Yeah.
More than likely, it would be they would be like, "Oh my God, I can go do other stuff that probably isn't on social media. I can now afford to go do things that because social media is cheap,
Mm.
and it is. It's cheap. It's cheap entertainment. It's about the cheapest entertainment out there.
Yep.
Um, you know, I I kind of push on the boomers with that when they talk about like, oh well, Netflix subscriptions and blah blah blah. Like, dude, I there back in the '80s, it was cable subscriptions for boomers.
Yeah.
And so when boomers say something about that, it's like, well, you guys spent $85 a month on cable subscriptions back in the '80s, and $85 a month in the '80s was a hell of a lot more money than it is today
Yeah.
by a sight.
Mm.
$85, I mean, that was a ton of money. If you adjust for real inflation,
Yep.
it's a lot.
Mm.
It'd be like the equivalent of spending $600 a month today.
Yeah.
And nobody I know spends that. They might spend $50,
Yeah.
50, maybe $100 kind
Yeah.
of thing on social media. So it's cheap entertainment.
Yeah.
It's cheaper than movies. At least the last bit when last time I went to a movie, I think between my wife and I think we burned through at least $65, at least that,
For one
and that's
movie.
just one movie.
One
Yeah,
movie.
that's
Yeah.
one movie. So and that wasn't buying like all kinds of crazy shit. That was popcorn and as you do, right? You buy the popcorn and the soda stuff, and just the obligatory stuff. But it's still like the better part of 65, $70 to do that. So,
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting. I mean, it's still an experience to go out. People
mhm.
are doing that less and less now. Like even apparently, getting like concerts. Like they're really struggling to get
Expensive
crowds.
now.
It's
It's expensive
yeah.
now.
Well, that's the
Um,
other thing. I mean, that when they're charging, I mean, I can't remember the band.
100, $120 a ticket
There
is not
was
uncommon.
500. But I think it was
No, who was
Coldplay.
charging $500?
Was Coldplay came? I remember I posted
Wow.
something about it. I just saw on social. It was like this ticket's $526. I mean, I imagine there were cheaper seats. There must have been.
Sure.
There would have to
Well,
be.
yeah, but if you're in the seats that are going to have the camera go over you and expose your affair,
Well, yeah,
well, then
exactly. I'd pay extra
you
for
would
that.
think that yeah, you'd pay extra, right?
I'm sick of it. I'm sick of being a billionaire and having a happy marriage. Come on. I'm going to a Coldplay concert.
So,
Nuts, nuts.
yeah, so yeah, 150 to $500 or something like that. That's a lot of money.
Mm,
That's a lot of money, especially if you're buying two tickets. That's a big deal.
yeah.
In terms of expense. Every now and again, somebody will post tickets of like a Led Zeppelin concert,
Mm,
right? They have their ticket stub from like 1979 or 1978 or something. Their ticket stub, and they'll say 550 on it.
yeah.
And it's like, yeah, that was probably a lot of money back then too.
Yeah.
Um, but by comparison, but when you factor the real wages against all that, like no, it's not the same thing.
Mm,
150, $200
yeah.
per person is a lot of dough, dude.
Yeah. Hey, just back to that. We were talking about with the cameras everywhere and
Yeah,
social media and like 80 million laws. What concerns me about this is where AI is going to come in. You won't like
oh yeah.
it'll get to the point because there are so many laws on the books, you won't be able to leave your house. You certainly won't be able to get your donkey drunk, which
Yeah, no shit.
I think that's a tragedy. I think
No, no, you're right though. That's just it. Like that's where I see it going to.
yeah,
I mean, it's this twisted version of a Minority Report. I think is what's coming.
that's it. Yeah,
It's going to be that kind of weird. existence where, and it's none of it's healthy, and it's only going to be, applied. It's going to be applied it's going to be applied selectively, as with
Of
everything.
course, yeah.
As with every law, it's going to be selective. It's not going to apply to people that they don't want it to apply to. It's going to apply to everybody they want it to apply to.
Yep.
That is, of course, the biggest problem. It's you know the American dream. Again, I'm not trying to monopolize this about Americans and stuff, but I mean, as an American, I mean, I see this all the time,
Yeah, of
and
course.
the states are definitely a canary in the coal mine, and they are definitely going in the wrong direction.
Mm.
There's no question about that. And I think the poll numbers even show that. I think if you poll Americans, like 90% of Americans all believe the country is going in the wrong direction,
Mm.
like categorically. Now that's whether it's left or right. They all see that there's something going wrong.
Yep.
Like this isn't sustainable, and it cannot continue the way this is going. But if you've got this, when I try to explain the American dream to like younger people, is that the whole idea of the American dream of home ownership, right? That that was sort of a sales pitch that came around when they started doing a lot of bank lending.
Yeah.
When they started really advertising bank lending for home ownership. That's where that came from. The real American dream, if you understand the founders, the guys who created the country, was equal protection under the law, meaning that the law applied to everyone equally.
Yeah.
A true egalitarianism. That's what they wanted, and that was so that way when you had some rich asshole, doing island activities, he went to the gallows just as anybody else would.
Mm-hmm.
That was the American dream right there.
Yep.
That's the real American dream, because then it gives everybody an actual equal shot.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a big deal, but it's not taught. Like no one talks about that. I
Mm.
don't know of too many people that bring that up in any kind of conversation at all. At least certainly not in like regular conversation. And but it's what it is. Or what it was. It was the idea was that like you had the same rules apply to you as I'd had them apply to me,
Mm-hmm.
and that was a good thing. We wanted that because, and then it also there was the incentive was to keep the rule book thin, not to have 80 million laws. It was to, trying to keep it down to about like, 15 or 16 total laws,
Yeah.
because you don't need very many of them. When you focus on big stuff and you don't sweat the small shit, well, then you don't really need to do a whole lot. You don't need to have tons and tons and tons of laws.
Yeah.
You have really simple laws that people can understand and they can remember. But when you forget about all the big stuff, you don't end up with no laws. You end up with millions and millions and millions of little laws that
Yeah.
govern every stupid. We're way past Hammurabi. Like we're way
Oh
past
yeah.
that now, man. We're into a completely different territory of shit. I think
Yeah.
that even the old the New Testament, um, Pharisees, and that had all their crazy ass laws. We're like way past that even.
Yeah.
We're well past that,
Mm.
and so we've hit this sort of uncharted territory, and everybody's miserable.
Yeah.
Nobody wants the future that they're creating. That's the fucked up thing. It's probably the most weird phenomena that I think, and it's not. I think lots of commentators have talked about this at some point or another, that we're building this future that nobody fucking wants.
Yeah.
Like, nobody wants this. Like, nobody wants the direction we're going. Like no rational person wants this,
Yeah.
but we're still just going along with all of this because, well, yeah, I mean, it's because you're being paid to do that. That's what it is.
That's.
There's a bunch of money being printed, and you're just going along with it because, well, you're being paid.
I won't be able to do anything, but at least I'll be rich.
Yeah, yeah, and it'll be rich on paper
Yeah.
too. So it's not even going to be real money.
Yeah.
It's going to be just totally. Yeah, you'll be shit rich, but you're going to be shit rich on paper. You'll be the richest man in the graveyard. What the hell good is that?
Yeah. Exactly.
It does nothing for you in the grand scheme of things, and that really does seem to be the direction that we're heading,
Mm.
and it's no good. And like I said, nobody wants it.
Mm.
Nobody wants to do any of this, but they're just going to go along with it. It's why I keep harping that the dollar has to go away.
Yeah.
because until that goes away, like none of this is going to change.
Mm.
None of this, everybody's just going to keep going the same direction, and there's nothing you can fucking do about it. No amount of culture war arguing, no amount of screaming into a microphone, no amount of any of that is going to do anything,
Mm.
because at the end of the day, you can have listeners out there nodding ferociously at everything you're saying, and they're like, "Oh my god, I'm so tuned in with this," but the next morning they have to wake up and realize they got to pay their fucking bills. And now, and then of course on top of that, you have the problem that of what I would call, let me try to think of how to say this nicely, compound hypocrisy, meaning that you can only lie to yourself so much
Mm-hmm.
before even you don't even believe yourself anymore.
Yeah.
It's the I'm going to stop drinking kind of thing, and I'm going to make a promise, I'm not going to, and then you start drinking again.
Mm-hmm.
And before you know it, after a while, you just stop even paying attention to your own bullshit. You're
Yeah.
just, you know that you're full of shit, you're a liar, and you just live with it.
Mm.
And that's what ends up happening to a lot of people.
Yeah.
And I think that that's why, it's one of the reasons why I've almost and completely given up listening to like talk radio, or like I gave up on the stuff a long time ago,
Mm-hmm.
because it has that same feel of like, yeah, there's a lot of great solutions out there, but if everybody's just going to wake up tomorrow morning and go to the same job and do the same thing, and keep moving the ball further down the field, the proverbial cop who's going to go out there and he's like, yeah, I mean, I know this is wrong to arrest this guy over some stupid horse shit that nobody cares about, but I got to make bills. Like that's
Yeah.
it's so destructive. And that's why, again, it all comes back to central banking. Virtually everything can be tied back to that. Almost every single problem that in terms of the modern life, with the exception of health challenges and things like that, it can all be tied pretty much back to central bankers every
Yeah.
time, because it's the single most powerful position to be in, because you're basically misdirecting energy.
Mm.
I did a stitch video for this young lady, this very pretty young lady, who as she I think the way that she put it, she found communism
I saw that one. Yeah.
as a, yeah, and it's like like as a religion you found communism, the religion, or you found communism, the ideology, that the financial, the disaster that is communism, because there's two different ways to look at that.
Mm.
And that's why I pointed out to her, I'm like, if you're talking about the religious aspect, the spirituality of like I can't touch you on that one.
Yeah.
But if you're talking about the practical, in practice reality of communism, it's a big fucking problem.
Yeah.
And the same problems you're complaining about now, you will have the exact same problems, because none of that's going to ever really change. And sadly, there's still, and you see this too, I'm sure, the number of young people who are pushing for sort of, they want socialism,
Mm.
and now they have no idea what they're asking for.
Yeah.
But that's what they because they think, well, I don't want this, so obviously I want this other thing, because it's the opposite.
Mm-hmm.
It's not. It's controlled by the exact same people.
Yeah.
Same people. It's going to come back to that every time. If it's got a central bank, dude, you're going to be just as screwed. You're not going to be in the power structure. You're not going to be a blue shirt, figuratively speaking, from Star Trek.
Mm.
Dude, you're just going to be another one of the fucking unwashed masses that are going to get chewed up by the machine.
Yeah. This is, I've noticed this there, especially when it comes to a lot of these ideologically driven solutions. There is a terrific denial of human nature. It's like, if we implement this system, no one will be greedy, no one will be power hungry. We'll all just share everything. It'll all be, and it's just this this incredible denial of basic human nature, that people do seek out power, people do hold on to and find ways to gain more power. And Steve Hughes and I, we did a lot of episodes, and a lot of the stuff we talk about is the tyranny of safety. And this is how they bring these authoritarian systems in, where it's just, there's all these laws get based on the weakest person.
Got it.
Yeah, so screw your strength. Like, if you're a strong person, you need to now act in the interest of the weakest. We don't advance that way. You can't. You can't
No,
rein
no, it's
people
not
in.
possible.
Mm.
No,
It's
I would think that would be absolutely impossible to advance like that,
yeah,
because then you're not allowing for a lot of experimentation that you need to have to advance onto that. Good or bad, you still have to be able to allow for that. And yeah, if you're going to always go to the lowest common denominator,
yeah,
there's no way out of that.
yeah.
It's you're and the thing is that, like, there was an old video I did like a long time ago, and I tried explaining. Um, I used the movies as an analogy, right? So in modern times, what we've seen is mediocre garbage movies. That's all we get now.
Mm.
There's no risk. There's no, you know, Star Wars in 1977 when it came out. They started filming it, I want to say, in like what, late 1975 or something like that.
I'm guessing, yeah.
And Fox was terrified. They were terrified because they thought, "Oh my God, we're going to lose. I mean, like, we're going to lose so much money."
Really?
As I recall, it had gone over budget, and they were just terrified. They're like, "We are going to lose so much money on this,
Mm-hmm.
because who the hell is going to go see what is ostensibly a space western?" That's what the original Star Wars was. It's basically a western in space.
Yeah.
And in lo and behold, it turns into this massive cultural phenomenon, global phenomenon
Mm.
that is a part of global history, because not just the US, but I mean, you can go almost anywhere in the world and they are familiar with Star Wars,
Yeah.
right? I mean, it's up there with Coca-Cola. I
Yeah.
mean, so you've got this. There's no risk like that now, right? There's none.
No.
There's no risks with with anything in film now. It's all safety. It's all mediocrity.
Mm.
And so and the problem with mediocrity is, if you know how this works, right? Within our lives, if you set a goal here, you're going to hit it about here, right? So if you're trying to set the goal here, you know, and it just becomes a race to the bottom,
Yeah.
you know, and that's what we're getting, is this race to the bottom. And because nobody's willing to take any kind of risks. There's no gamble. There's nothing edgy
Mm.
about what they're producing anymore. There's nothing. Another good example of that, by the way, not to bore you on that, but another one that really gets me was Back to the Future. So we're all familiar with the movie Back to the Future. This was a Robert Zemeckis movie, and this is another film that the studio was terrified. They're like, "We're going to lose so much money on this. This is like, no one's going to understand this plot. It's kind of hokey. It's a little cheesy." And lo and behold, it's a cultural phenomenon that
Yeah.
that transcends, that people to this day still watch.
Mm.
What, coming up 40, yeah, 40 years later, that movie's 40 years old, and people still meme it to
Yeah.
this day.
Yeah.
I was just having this conversation with somebody brought up, someone did a video, and they were talking about Avatar being like this huge movie, and he brought up a good point. And it's like, man, I thought about it. Like, I saw Avatar. The only thing I could tell you about that movie is Sigourney Weaver was in it. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't tell you anything else. The movie is completely forgettable.
Yeah.
It is a totally immemorable, mediocre. And that's not to say anything bad about Jim Cameron. James Cameron produced 2 sequels that were better than the originals.
Yeah.
Right. Like, how many directors can say that? Like, basically nobody can say that except him.
Yep.
And so it's no diss to Cameron, but that movie is immemorable by comparison.
Yeah.
And it's supposed to be this huge movie, but then there's no memes, there's no nothing. Whereas, how many times has Aliens been memed? And people meme the shit out of it, even to this day. I mean, Terminator, for example. How many? Like, I mean, we see this stuff all the time, and it's still just as relevant today as it was when it came out.
Yeah.
Kids still watch it. RoboCop's another Paul Verhoeven movie. Like, dude, it's one of the funniest things ever with that movie is the throwaway line. I'd buy that for $1, which is, it's a throwaway line in the movie. It's a throwaway line. It's a complete garbage line that people still say today. Some odd, almost 40 years after the fact.
Yeah.
It's weird to think about it like that. but because even younger people, kids will recognize these memes and movies from movies that are 35, 40 years old.
Yeah.
And so what does that tell us? Well, it tells us that we're shooting for mediocrity and everything sucks, and that's why nobody's going to the goddamn theaters anymore.
When you're
Why? Who
writing,
wants to go there? So
yeah. Well, when you're writing and you rewrite something with the idea in mind, well, that'll offend this group, that'll offend this group.
yeah,
I need to rein this in. Like, you're not going to achieve those great moments where it's like, oh, everyone's going to quote this. So yeah, if you're not free to offend people, you're not free to think. I think
that's it. Yeah,
Peterson
it's
said that.
destructive.
Yeah,
It's absolutely destructive
yeah,
to it's destructive to everybody around. Uh, you know, that's there's I just think about like a lot of the iconic stuff that everybody talks about. Like for example, um, you know, oh, I just had the name of the movie, but God damn it, the western, the comedy western that Mel Brooks did, way back in the
Blazing
day,
Saddles.
Blazing Saddles.
Yeah,
Thank you. How can I forget the name of that movie, right? And but I mean that's what I'm saying. It's like there's a movie that like everybody talks about. Like, dude, I don't know if you could even make that movie today. I mean, like people would be pissed.
yeah.
And the thing is that, and it's the one thing that I'm actually hoping. I did see briefly. I don't know if it's true or not. I hope it's true that I guess they're going to do Spaceballs 2,
I heard this. Yeah,
and I am so hopeful because the the ground is pretty fertile.
yeah,
And I am so hopeful that this movie absolutely offends and annihilates every fucking person out there. I
yeah,
absolutely hope it does
yeah,
because it's needed so desperately
yeah,
at this point. Like people have taken themselves way too seriously now.
yeah,
And I think it would be really a big help if if there really was a movie like that that comes out that just says that's it. We're going to make fun. We're going to trash everybody.
yeah,
Everybody's getting trashed.
yeah,
All of these pink-haired Fruit Loops, all the people who are offended by everything. Um, you know, all the gays. How did Mel Brooks say it? It's like with all the gays, the fags, the gypsies. All of musical theater all together. Like we're going to offend everything
yeah,
because like this is stupid to not to cherry pick everything because then nothing's funny
yeah.
if you get a bunch of stuff off limits, well, then that's not going to work. I mean, you being in comedy professionally, I mean, in the '90s, there were lots of comics that would like pick on their audience. We don't we'd seen shows like that. I saw
Oh
shows like
yeah,
that when I was a kid,
yeah,
and you know, and you had to pick on everybody. If you picked on everybody, you had to pick on everybody, right? So
yeah,
even if there was a guy in a wheelchair, you had to make jokes about him too in a fucking wheelchair.
yeah,
Because if you didn't, you were singling him out.
yeah,
You were actually being offensive because you were trying to say, well, okay, you're in a wheelchair, so because you're crippled, we can't make fun of you.
yeah.
Bullshit. You have to be able to make fun of that in a joking way. You're not
Mm.
trying to be mean. You're just, but you have to be inclusive,
You have
and
to,
that
yeah.
part of that inclusion was making fun of everybody. The old South Park idea, basically. That
Mm.
actually was inclusive. That you made fun of everybody equally. So
Yeah. Well, it's interesting that so I've been doing comedy about 10 or 11 years.
hmm.
And the first few years that I did, probably about the first 3 years, like it takes you a long time to find your own voice and figure
I
out
would
what it
imagine,
is.
yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of brutal, but it so for about 3 years I was just kind of throwing back what I was seeing. So I was using a lot of the same punchlines that, or not even using the same punchlines, like in my own words, but throwing back all the attitudes that were out there already. So I wasn't really speaking from my own experience. I was like, doing what I would call acceptable comedy. After a while, I just started to realize, like, that was just bullshit. That was it's not the way to do it. But then, of course, my opinions and attitudes towards things were not accepted. So I had a very
Mhm.
hard time. So I was doing this kind of what you would call anti woke comedy. I've been doing that
Okay.
for like 7 years or so.
Okay.
Which in Melbourne, which is an incredibly woke place,
Right.
I wasn't getting a
So I'm
lot of,
told. So
yeah,
I'm told.
yeah. Oh, it is
It's
savagely
the
woke.
San Francisco of Australia, I'm
It
told.
truly
So
is. Yeah, it truly is. But I'm really quite glad to see people now, and like the thing is, my jokes weren't actually offensive to anyone. They were just making fun of everyone. And
okay.
so it was like I wouldn't exclude particular groups. I was just like, I'm going to make,
Right.
you know, and wherever the funny was, I'd just be like, I'll do that because it's funny. So I'm quite glad now to see that there are comedians coming up now and getting some attention for being, the kind of people that would have been cancelled 10 years ago.
I
And
saw
you know,
there's that one, what's his name? Shane
Shane
um,
Gillis.
Gillis. Yeah.
Yep.
That was, I saw, he's done some recent stuff that's been really funny. That 5 years ago, people would have had a complete fucking cow over.
Yeah.
And I'm glad to see that. I'm glad to see that there are more comedians that are starting to break ground on that. I know that Dave Chappelle held the line pretty much the whole time
Yeah.
and said, I'm not doing this. I'm not going to go down this road of trying to do safe comedy. Like that's not how comedy works.
Yeah.
It's you know, I heard some comedian a long time ago, and this is kind of how I think of it. In the rare occasions that I venture into showing my sense of humor to people, which is rare, but I try to think of, I do it kind of the way that this guy does it. I have the same kind of idea.
Okay.
How do you offend both sides at the same time, right? Like, and I love doing that.
Yeah.
I absolutely love doing that.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorite tweets, even though I mean everybody fucking hates it, but it's one of my favorite. My personal, I don't, if I could have a favorite tweet, I know you're not supposed to have that, but I mean, like because I'm not trying to sound all narcissistic about it, but I mean, but it's true. I mean, every now and again, it is kind of fun to like, oh, that was a really good one, and there
Yeah.
was the one that I pointed out that like if capitalism has a central bank controlled by a handful of oligarchs that control the money supply. And if communism has a handful of oligarchs who control the money supply and central bank, like what precisely is the difference between these two systems here? And then I posted a picture of Doc Holliday below it with two guns. I've got two guns, one for each of you. and that's how I tend to think about that kind of funny stuff, is that because I want to see both sides kind of squirm on this,
Yeah.
because I'm trying to make a point here, but the point I'm making is not subtle at all.
Mm.
I'm being very pointed about this.
Yeah.
There was Chris Rock had done a set, I guess recently-ish, where he was talking about abortion, and he was talking about like, and he kept saying, that how did he word it? But he worded it really very cleverly,
Yeah.
where he pointed out that like abortion is what it is. It is killing a baby. He made it very clear
Yeah.
that like that is in fact what it is, and so he's putting sort of a point on that like, yeah, you still are killing another human being. Okay, yeah, we can be pro-abortion, but don't mince words and say that, well, it's not a big, no, it's a big deal. It's
Yeah.
still a huge problem.
Yeah.
You're just okay with it. Okay.
Yeah.
But and it's like that's the way to that's what I kind of find funny. It's like, that's a good way of putting that,
Yeah.
because it sharpens the edge
Yeah.
and says, okay, if you can live with that, then that's fine, but don't lie to yourself
Yeah.
about how, about it's this, no, it's a big deal.
Yeah.
But if you can live with it, then okay, fine. I guess you can live with killing a baby,
Yeah.
right? So
That's the
and,
but that's the problem these days. If you follow logic, if your arguments are logical and you follow the logic, you will get decimated because but that doesn't match my feelings. I mean,
that's
Yeah,
That's what it is.
Burr did the
That's
same.
exactly it.
Yeah, Burr did the same joke where he said, "I'm pro-abortion, but I do believe it's killing a baby." It's like if I
Hmm.
put a if I put a cake in the oven and 5 minutes later you came along and threw my cake, you know, and your argument was, well, it wasn't a cake yet. It was like, yeah, but if you
Or it
gave
was
it
just batter.
45
It was just
minutes,
batter. It wasn't actually a cake.
yeah,
Yeah.
but if you gave it 45 minutes, it would have been a cake, you birthday cake murdering son of a bitch. So,
Yeah.
yeah, it's, the interesting thing about it is that funny always wins. You can come out if you can say the most outrageous shit, and it can be completely right wing stuff.
Hmm.
It drives me nuts, this whole thing of like you're a left wing comedian or you're a right wing comedian, because comedians aren't supposed to be left or right.
Ideally, no.
Yeah,
Ideally, you let her rip.
you're pointing out the
You tear into it.
absurdity. Yeah, you're pointing out absurdity. So if you're on one side, you're only pointing out the absurdity on another. It just, for one, it
Yeah.
divides your. It's not a smart move to be like I'm left
No.
or whatever. It's so. But what happens is,
No, and also from a ticket sales standpoint, not to interject, but I mean,
no,
like, yeah,
exactly.
even
That's
just
it.
from an audience standpoint, you would want to have both sides know what they're getting themselves into.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine. That's what you would want.
Well, this is why people in entertainment avoid left or right. They avoid politics. You avoid, when you get into entertainment, you want to avoid politics. You want to avoid certain subjects because, yeah, you don't want to divide your crowd. Because I've seen that happen a
Right.
lot recently where people will lose half their followers and half their, people will be like, I'm not going to see that movie because this actor said this or what. And you're like, dude, you're costing yourself money. Like, what are you doing?
Right.
But
You have to start early on, man. You have to do a follower. I can't say follower purges anymore. I got in all kinds of trouble from Twitter on that. I have to call them cleansings now. You have to do a follower cleansing.
you can't purge
And
anymore.
so,
God damn.
no, I actually got banned for like 7 days.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, like, straight up, my account was closed, and I had sent an email to Twitter, and I said, hey, you do understand that I'm not actually talking about murdering somebody when I say follower purge. Like, I'm not actually advocating this.
Get on
I'm
the
using that as
train.
it's a term of endearment for my followers.
Yeah.
and, and and somebody there got my email and said, oh yeah, okay, yeah, we see what you did here. This isn't, the algorithm basically canceled your account.
Right.
Sorry about that. And they gave me my account back. And so I posted a picture of that, of Beric Dondarrion from Game of Thrones coming back to life. And I said, I've been brought back, but apparently I cannot say the P word. So now I have to call these follower cleansings.
Cleansings.
So, so yeah, and that's just it. Is that where you say something outlandish that offends hopefully everybody who's because I mean, if I'm going to blow them out, I want them gone now.
Yeah.
The people that do follow me, every now and again I'll post a picture of like I did this recently. I posted a picture of like Leonidas, from 300.
Yeah.
And I said, I said, people that are following me and stuff, if you've managed to deal with me for this long, it's because you're actually the strongest and the hardest. The other one I did was I showed it was the one where Simba is being held up by the monkey in the movie and then thrown off the cliff. Where it's like, this is only the strong survive, people.
Yeah.
And it's because, like, anybody who's followed me for any length of time, it's like, you kind of know that I'm not on the left or the right with any of this.
Yeah.
I have no problem at all skewering either side.
Yeah.
I got no problem with calling out Trump, but I also had no trouble calling out Biden.
Yeah.
I had no issue with either side. I think that both of them are fucking boomers, man. They're horrible.
Yeah, same.
Yeah. So, there we go. I mean,
I was thinking recently we should probably put a ban on boomers doing anything. Just if you're part of the boomer, you're retired now. You're retired. Go sit in the corner.
Like it's you're not far off. There was a my God, I want to say about maybe about a month or two ago, I did a video like that where I said, at what point do we step in
Yeah.
with this? Because and tell Grandpa, dude, that's it, man.
Yeah.
We're not doing this anymore.
Yeah.
We're not letting you do this anymore because, you know, it's sort of like, think of it this way. Let's say that you had a business, right, like a family business, and the patriarch, you know, the old man starts making like really shitty financial decisions that are costing your business and your customers, and eventually the firstborn or the kids step in and say, okay, that's it. We're stepping in. We're we're not going to let you bankrupt. Our what's left of our inheritance.
Yeah.
We're not going to let you bankrupt that. So no, we're stepping in. We're taking legal action, and we're physically going to remove you from this position if we have to. And yeah, there's frankly, I think that more and more people are starting to think along those lines of like, dude, these guys are, because many of them are out of touch.
Yeah.
They they are completely out of touch. There's still a bunch of boomers that are still screaming about goddamn avocado toast and lattes,
Yeah.
and it's like, dude, that that is rapidly it's like the way I put it the other day, which was the young people just don't want to work nowadays. And
Are
it's like,
you?
dude, that is
Yeah.
rapidly becoming the roads and bridges bullshit.
Your point about
That
that is fucking brilliant. Please reiterate your point about you don't work for the money. You
oh
work for what the
yeah,
money.
you work for the results. You work for
Yeah.
what the money will buy for you.
Yeah.
And so it's that this idea, this trope that gets trotted out by lots of people. It isn't just boomers either, by the way. I'm not, so when I
Yeah.
say boomers, I'm not just talking about just boomers. There's other people doing this too. There's some older Xers that do this shit. And
1,000%.
it's
Yeah.
like, it's like, dude, this is becoming the roads and bridges argument. That's what it's turning into me.
Mm-hmm.
When I hear this kind of shit, I'm automatically, my eyes start rolling reflexively. And I'm like, this is the same shit with the people about who will build the roads and bridges. Like, you guys really need to stop this shit. First of all, you need to get a better argument than this, because if I start asking you questions, if I cross-examine you, you're fucking toast.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to destroy you very quickly with your own words. Because I'm going to start giving you to define the words come out of your mouth. You're going to be like you're on the witness stand, and I'm going to fucking destroy you,
Mm-hmm.
because it's just what I do naturally. And even though I'm not a lawyer, but I do it naturally. It's just what I do, especially when there are these ridiculous arguments like that, because people obviously have no problem doing the work. They won't work for free.
Yeah.
No, like, no one would do that.
Mm.
You can make the argument, if you want to make the communal argument, the so-called communist argument. Maybe 2 to 500 people. Maybe you could pull it off. Maybe you could. Maybe you could pull it off in Denmark with a
Yep.
civilization of people, a homogenous
Yeah.
civilization
Yeah.
of people
Yeah.
that all see their country as like a big family,
Mm-hmm.
because they all have the same ideas of what they want. They all have the same vision of what their future is going to be like. That does not work in the United States. The United States is far too diverse,
Yeah.
way too big. And it's not just diverse in terms of the people, but it's diverse in terms of just the topography. I mean, just the way that everything, all the different civilizations that are all over the U.S. Yeah, we might have this, the loose idea of, the Bill of Rights and Constitution, but like, dude, you're not going to have everybody agree on everything.
Yeah.
You can't get 10 people to agree. Get 10 people together in a room and ask them where they want to go for dinner. You'll be there for 2 fucking hours arguing over, let's not go to that place. We want to go to the other place. And what do you mean? I like that place. They had good food. Last time I was there and stuff, I got sick. I mean, this is the kind of shit that you'll hear from people for like 2 hours.
Yeah.
And then, so let alone trying to get what, 300-400 million people to agree on what constitutes a good life.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of subjective material in there to try and do. So no, you have to deal with the money issue, and the when people are being paid in something that doesn't really buy anything, they don't get the result that they want. Well, they're gonna just stop working, because, and especially men in particular, not to get all MRA about this, but men in particular have been absolutely hog fucked.
Oh yeah.
In the Western world itself, for the last 50 years. has gone out of its way to basically break men.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and I think it's objective at this point. Like, this isn't anti-woman. This is just like, dude, you have to look at the reality. Like, holy shit, man. I mean, who does this kind of stuff? Like, you where it's like you're deliberately trying to completely and totally, thoroughly destroy your men and then bitch about what happened to all the men.
Yeah.
Like, well, you destroyed them.
Mm.
Like, what the hell? Like, what do you mean? Where did all the? It's that '90s song. Where have all the cowboys gone? I don't remember that song. It's an old, '90s. I can't remember the name of the artist. Anyway, but it's like, yeah. Well, I mean, you told them to. It's all the girls on TikTok. Like, how come no man ever approaches me? Like, because other women have like jailed them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Other women have started screaming rape and had some guy's whole fucking life turned upside down over bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
That's what happened. Something that never fucking happened. It happened in your mind.
Yeah.
You invented some bullshit in your head, and you got the state involved. And of course, who are the state? Well, the state are all those goddamn retards that they gave a badge and a gun to go out there and protect the public.
Mm-hmm.
Coming full circle, like that's what's happened. You've got a bunch of fucking mall cops that you've unleashed on the unsuspecting populace. These guys are half fucking psychotic, and you've put them out there, and like, well, they're going to believe all this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And they're just going to go along with it because, well, they're going to get credit for the bust.
Yeah.
Even though it's like, well, did anything fucking happen? No. Well, then what the hell, man?
Mm.
Yeah, this is just common sense.
Yeah.
And it's rapidly eroding, and it's not good. Nothing good is going to come from this, from what I can tell. I don't think anything good is going to come from this. I posted that I said it this way, that everybody wants Interstellar.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That's what everybody's wanting. They want Interstellar. What you're going to get is Idiocracy.
Yeah.
That's what you're going to end up with, because that certainly seems to be their trajectory. I would accept The Fifth Element somewhere in the middle. I would take The Fifth Element.
Yep.
Or Blade Runner at this point.
Mm-hmm.
I would be okay with that too, I suppose. But none of those are probably going to be the case. It's going to be fucking Idiocracy. It's going to be, people doing the dumbest shit in the world, and then not understanding, like, and then continually doing the dumb shit because they haven't learned the first 50 fucking times what they did, and then so they're just going to repeat that shit over and over and over. So
to tie that all in, I'm seeing it a lot with like what you were saying before about it's not just the boomers. It's not just the boomers. I'm seeing this a lot where people seem to think, well, my reality is everyone's reality. And even Elon posting earlier, I retweeted a screenshot of it, that robotics and AI will solve starvation. Yeah. And it's like
from home math. That was really funny.
Yeah. Yeah. Please stop. Yeah, don't stop starvation and death.
It reminds me of that video we've all seen, I think, on the internet. There's this. It's like researchers have found a way to take sperm that aren't moving, and they have these little nanobots now that will go pick the sperm up and carry it to the egg to fertilize the egg.
Oh,
and
God,
it's like,
why?
And everybody now everybody sees this who understands biology at all is horrified by this. They're going, dude, there's a reason for this. I'm not certain this is a good idea. This is bad. Like,
Jesus.
That's there's a reason why you have biology working the way that it works. And if you're going to start interfering at that level, at the cellular level, then we're not talking about maybe repairing cells or getting rid of cancer cells. We're not talking about that. We're talking about you're actually interfering with evolution itself by doing that. And that may or may not. I don't think that's going to work well if you do something like that.
That's been a concern of mine for a long time, that they're doing this. Like, nature has these perfect systems in place, and we step in and fuck with those systems, thinking that the outcomes are going to be grand. It's
Yeah, I saw this animated series recently that somebody had turned me on to. Actually, an influencer turned me on to. Influencer influenced me, and
they did their job.
I looked at it. They did their job, and I looked it up, and it was called Scavengers Reign. So Scavengers and then Reign,
G.
REIGN.
Oh, okay.
So,
Yep.
yeah, so not rain like as mercy from the
Precipitation.
drops
Yeah.
of heaven to the place beneath, but yeah, and it's like 12 episodes long, and it's brilliant.
Mm.
It is absolutely stunningly brilliant. I'm not just talking about necessarily the animation, but I'm talking the whole idea behind an ecosystem and people getting into the middle of an ecosystem that and not really understanding what they've gotten themselves into. It
Okay.
really it explores that idea. It's pretty
Mm.
cool. There is, to your point about everybody seeing the world through their eyes. Scott Adams, I think, talks about that, and he says everybody has kind of their own movie in their head of
Mm-hmm.
what's going on in the world, and I think that's a good way of putting that. So let me tell you. So I'll put a story with it. This is a fictional story. I'm just going to make this up as I go, but you get into you're like downtown and you're like, man, I've had a couple of drinks, I better not drive home, and I'm going to call one of the self-driving taxis. Now, to a person who has their idea of the sort of the interstellar future, right, where the robot taxi shows up, the door open, right, because they always make noise when they open. The doors don't just actually open in the movies like that, they always go like that. And and then you get in, and then the Johnny Cab guy turns around and says, where can I take you? This kind of thing, right?
Mm.
Like, this is what a lot of people think of in their mind of AI and robots and all this kind of stuff. There's not a second thought given to all the batteries, the servos, the motors, all of the maintenance involved, running all of that shit that that technicians think about, and the practical reality of how much it's going to cost to actually pull that off. There's a reason why movies are really expensive to make.
Yeah.
It's because of shit like that.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's not a second thought given about the physics behind it.
Mm.
But they think it's okay. I'm gonna get into the car and I'm gonna have a pleasant ride. I'm gonna scroll through Twitter or whatever it is, and then I get home and then I'm gonna go into my house and make a chili dog sandwich, and some bacon and pass out on the couch. Right now, that's what a normal person kind of thinks about. Oh, I've had some beverages and okay. Here's reality. Reality is, you call that self-driving car. It probably can't fucking find you for some reason. So you end up walking up and down blocks until you finally get your so-called Waymo. You get into it where some drunk has already pissed themselves, and there's probably puke in it already. This is because other people don't have the same values you have.
Yeah.
So, a mobile car without somebody in it, like, oh my God, this is the perfect place. This is a public toilet.
Yeah.
This is exactly where I can take a shit. And that's exactly what they're going to do.
The mobile toilets. I got it just on your app. I'm calling a toilet.
So, okay, fine. Maybe you figure it out. Maybe you kick the turd over to the other side of the seat or some shit like that. And then you kind of sit down, and then you make like this. It's everything that goes wrong.
Mm.
There's the version that they show the investors, right? Because that's how this stuff's always. It's always about investors. It's always about showing. Look at how easy this is going to be. This is going to be so awesome. Now, quick, get your checkbook out and get in pre-IPO.
It's onboarding.
That's all it is.
Yep.
And this is how this scam works. And it's like that with the self-driving cars. It's like that with the autonomous semi-trucks and all this other bullshit that they keep feeding. It's like, dude, there's practical logistics on the ground from anybody who's ever driven a taxi, myself included, for a number of years, or driving a semi-truck. I have for years.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like you're leaving a whole lot of stuff out to show these investors, but they see it and they're like, wow, this is going to be the wave of the future. No, it's really not. It's going to be the wave of somebody getting really rich, and then 5 years from now they fold the company up because it's nothing but debt. And and that's what ends up happening with this kind of stuff. So yeah, you better get in pre-IPO and sell the fuck out before it peaks out, because
Mm.
that's probably what's going to happen. But that's kind of the reality, is that like you're projecting your set of values onto what you think the world should be like,
Yeah.
but that's you're forgetting to add in the other people out there that are like, but I like money, we should hang out.
Yeah.
I mean, like that's what you have to factor into it. So there's this weird switcheroo, like you talked about, where it's like everything has to be the lowest common denominator, right? That's how the government sets it all up. But how it's sold, they do the switcheroo, where it's everything. We're going to be Star Trek. We're going to get fucking Star Trek. We're going to get Buck Rogers. We're going to get shit like that. Yeah, that's not how any of that works.
Yeah.
Because if you're racing to the bottom, well, that's you're going to get that.
Yeah.
So
Have you seen?
it's a great con, but that's it.
Yeah. I'm sure you've seen the videos of the delivery robots in LA.
Oh yeah, I mean it's a cute idea, and yeah, if you had a civilization of people
It works in
that were like,
Japan. It's
oh
great in
yeah,
Japan.
Japan works, of course. They have a homogenous society.
Yeah.
They also have a society of people who actually value the idea of technology.
It's
They
a
also
high
have a
trust.
society of people
Hmm.
who it is considered dishonorable to go and like do something like that, because and then on top of that they're like, why would I want to ruin my society? We have our sort of our futuristic civilization here, because Japan does. That's not gonna work in the Western world. It
Yeah.
just doesn't fly.
Yeah.
Because you do have a civilization that a lot of people don't give a shit about that stuff.
Yeah.
Some of us do. Some of us still put their trash in the trash can. I do.
Yeah.
It's the one. It's what that's one of my things. I will use the trash can. Now, when it comes to the shopping cart, now this is important that people understand this about me. I flip a coin on it
Really?
because 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 I
That's
am
brilliant.
chaotic neutral for the most part.
Okay.
So I flip a fucking coin. If it comes up heads, I'll return it to the carousel. If it comes up tails, I spin it around in circles and I launch that fucker out it goes wherever out into the parking lot, and then I drive off, and that's the end of it.
Yep.
If it rolls out into the street, it rolls out into the street. Act of God, not my fault. Because you have to have some chaos and destruction and stuff, so that life can continue to have something to compare and contrast.
Yeah.
But you have to do it with so you pick your battles and stuff. So think of me like Professor Chaos and stuff, switching soups on people, that's how you do that kind of thing.
Yeah.
There's a time and a place for chaos, and it's at the shopping cart carousel, in the parking lot.
It'll be anarchy. God damn. Shopping cart anarchy. Anarchy. I kind of like that. It's such a weird. I don't know how this happened. Like, I tend to blame the economy in a lot of ways, where people have now adopted this idea that money is everything. So if you see, I can't remember the word. I saw a video on it, but the Jewish people have this word which means a sucker, basically.
Okay.
And it's like, and you're a rule follower. If you are returning your trolley, you're a sucker. If you're following the rules, you're a sucker. They have this whole attitude about getting around the rules, and it's chutzpah.
Right.
They call it chutzpah.
Yeah.
But they have a word for people who just follow the rules and don't break the rules. And I get it. It's quite smart, but it leads to this thing where it's like, if I see a robot going down the street carrying a free sandwich, like, that's how I think of it. Free sandwich. I don't think someone else's property, someone else has paid for this.
Right.
Free sandwich. And I'll do $10,000 worth of destruction to the robot to get a $5 sandwich.
Or more.
Or more. Yeah. And the robot's there going, please help me. People are just filming.
Right.
This is going to go viral. It's quite remarkable.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean there is that, if you've got five people attacking a robot in the street to get a free sandwich and somebody filming it screaming "World Star" in the background, yeah, I mean that's gonna, I mean, yeah, that's definitely, it's probably gonna go viral more than likely. Not for the reasons you might think,
Yeah.
but it's probably gonna happen. Um, but yeah, I mean, that's just it. Is that like that kind of thing might work in some of in other countries, but it's not going to work necessarily in the West because there's just too many different sets of values,
Yeah.
and that values conversation is the part that we're not that isn't being had.
Mm.
And so I think I want to say about like 2 3 days ago or so, I did a video where I pointed this out that like the argument that we're having here isn't a culture war. It's actually a border war after a fashion
Mm-hmm.
because cultures create borders, right? That's where borders actually, that's the beginning of borders.
Yeah.
Borders stem from the idea of, hey, listen, we want to have our culture over here and we want to have our own self-direction. So how about, we'll stay on this side of the river and we'll do our own thing over here.
Mm.
We're going to continue to sacrifice chickens to make the weather change,
Yeah.
and you guys go on that side of the river and you can sacrifice ducks to make the weather change.
Mm-hmm.
But we think duck life is precious and you think chicken life is precious, so we have irreconcilable differences.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to create a border, and that's where they come from. And this is the part that I think the libertarians don't understand, is like the borders happen first because of the culture, then the culture creates this so-called the state,
Mm-hmm.
and that's to protect the border. It's not the other way around. You don't just create the state that would be stateless. Like that would be weird, because if you create a state without a state, if you create a state without having a state, first of all, or a border, well, then you have to go conquer something.
Yeah.
That's so it's you're kind of putting the cart before the horse. So you create a culture, your culture creates your border, and inside that you're able to have your culture. Well, that's being eradicated everywhere. The internet, of course, is doing a lot of that work for everybody, because it's mixing everybody together all at one time.
Mm.
And it's just, here's this big, this big disaster of the internet, and it's going to make everybody, who, that's why you get these people or these strangers arguing with each other,
Mm-hmm.
for like 6 hours
Yeah.
arguing, to the point, like there's many threads that I have to mute them. I have to mute them,
Yeah.
because all I'll see is just, I've seen these guys that these long autistic rants that go. I'm not picking on anybody. I'm just saying, like, people, even people who don't even follow me, they're just like, they're random folks, but they'll go on these argument tears, like 70 tweets.
Mm.
And it's like, dude, hold on. And it's like, yeah. So, whereas, would they ever do that in real life? Probably not. Probably not.
Yeah.
And I mean, they probably wouldn't do something like, unless, I don't know, unless they were at the river, doing business with each other. You're on this side of the river, we're on this side of the river, and they're doing business with each other, and they want to stand there and waste all their time arguing about something like that.
Yeah.
I guess, but it wouldn't be something that would be organic to the civilization itself.
No.
So it just seems to me that, so like in the Western world, I mean, like, this is really the case, is it just we have a lot of space, and there's a lot of folks that are not, they're evolving into their own cultures,
Yeah.
basically.
Mm.
And it's because of exactly what we talked about before. It's tying it all together. It's the 80 million plus laws.
Yeah.
It's a bunch of people trying to figure out, how they're going to. Whereas, instead of if you just had a few laws, then it's very easy to enforce it. It's very easy to let the culture just run wild,
Yeah.
do whatever it wants,
Yeah.
because you're just focused on the big stuff. Like, hey, don't knock off the little robots
Mm-hmm.
and take the sandwich. All right. I mean, something really simple like that,
Yeah.
because it's not your property, etc. So just leave it alone. Um, or that, or they eventually arm the little robots or something like that, or have electricity running through them or something like that. I mean, like, it's just kind of how it works.
Yeah.
So I've had this challenge, that I've constantly float out every, when I think about it, is like, I don't think that Hollywood can make a movie set in. They always make movies in either a distant future, the distant past, or in some alternate reality.
Yeah.
Right? It's always an alternate version of the universe or something. Why not make a movie about right now? Right? Sort of like
Mm.
Spaceballs. You're looking at now, sir. right
Yeah.
now in the movie. Like why not make a movie about right now what's going on in the real world right now? You can't, because it would look like a dystopian nightmare. It would
It
look like a
would.
fucking nightmare.
Yeah.
No, nobody would be, and you couldn't do it because all the corporate brands, like there would be no way to hide the corporate brands,
Yeah.
and they would all sue because, like, well, this is slanderous. No, it's not slander if it's true.
Mm.
And if I'm sitting on hold for an hour and a half with somebody who doesn't speak fucking English, it's not slander if it's true.
Yeah.
It's the reality. And so, or worse, that it's you get on hold, or you finally get somebody on the phone and you explain a problem to them. And I'm sure most people have had this happen to them at one time or another. And that the other person is reading a script
Mm-hmm.
to you.
Mm-hmm.
And what happened was the AI picked up keywords you were explaining to them, and it brought up a script. And then so now that person is just reading a script to you.
Mm.
And you're like, that doesn't solve my problem. That isn't what I described to you. And then you get, okay, I understand what you're saying. Let me see what else I can do. And then you explain the same problem, and it brings up a similar script, but it still doesn't actually solve the problem.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's just, and everybody's been in a situation like that. And it's frustrating. It's that modern problem aspect of, like, dude, if you were just located here in the fucking country and you were actually had some kind of authority to fix the fucking problem, I could have you on and off the phone in about a minute and a half.
Yep.
It'd take no fucking time to solve this problem, but instead you've wasted 2 hours of my goddamn life.
Yeah.
And now you're going to have to send an email to a supervisor who may or may not call me back at some other point in the future.
Yeah.
That's fucking infuriating. And
It's crazy how much we've got more and more AI controlled and AI driven humans. The human is just there to be the face,
right.
but what's coming out of the mouth is all AI.
It's AI.
Yeah.
It's complete bullshit.
But they're doing this
it's
with.
just them regurgitating it.
You've talked about this. They're doing it with truck drivers, and I saw one recently where the companies are demanding that truck drivers put in all these safety features, and they are insane. A guy, like, in my car, I'll often, if I'm in traffic, I'm nowhere near anything, but suddenly my stereo drops the volume and I get a beep, 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 like you're close to something, and I look around, there's nothing.
Yeah.
It just gets a false reading. So a guy was driving down the road and he got a false reading and it just hit the brakes. And he was like, if I'm on black ice, I'm dead.
Yep. I've actually rented those 26. They're putting those in straight trucks now. I periodically rent 26-foot straight trucks because my truck is too big
Mm-hmm.
to do some of the deliveries that I do, and so I have an account with, like, Penske, and I'll go pick up a Penske truck, and it'll be a 26-foot straight truck or a box lorry for those on the other side of the pond.
Oh, yep.
And you know, it has all the modern trucks suck. I hate them because you're driving along, and so what I had happen, I'm on the freeway, I'm at speed, and again, here you know what this like. If you're in a major city, a major urban area, freeways are quite dangerous, right? Particularly if you're in a massive area. So, like in Houston, we have freeways that are like 8 lanes in each direction. They're huge.
Yeah.
And so, you're driving along at speed, and then the computer thinks that you're on a surface street for some reason.
Right.
And then it hits the brakes because it thinks there's a red light coming up.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this has actually happened, and it happened on a number of occasions, and it's terrifying when you're driving the truck and you're not ready for that. You're like,
Yeah.
what the hell? Because you don't know what's happened here. And there's other people behind you that are, swerving to avoid you and also the crazy shit. It's like, this is not helping.
Mm.
Like all this is doing is making things way, way less safe.
Yeah.
For people who know what the hell they're doing. And it's like, yeah, you just want to throw idiots in you just want to put anybody in these trucks, and you're not supposed to. Certainly not with air brakes involved. You're not supposed to just put anybody in these vehicles. They do need some training.
Mm.
And if you're not going to bother to do that, well, then all these safety gimmicks are probably going to make things worse.
Yeah.
Like the one guy that he did that video and he was talking about that. He said, yeah, one guy rolled the truck. Yeah, I believe it. I believe it. all the gimmicks that they put in, that I saw them on some of the trucks. This is about 15 years ago, where it would be lane departure notification, which is like it thinks that you left the lane. Like you left your lane of travel.
Yep.
And then there's speakers on both sides of the cab, and it'll go like, and it's really loud and
Oh God.
obnoxious.
Yeah.
So when you drive past an on ramp, right, what happens to the line? Because it's reading the line goes away because you're on an on ramp. And
Yeah.
so every time you drive past an on ramp or an off ramp, you hear this buzzing, and this is the kind of crap. This is why a lot of the qualified drivers have quit.
Yeah.
They've left the industries because of stuff like this. It's
Yeah.
like, that's annoying. It's unsafe. It doesn't help any. It doesn't add anything to it. If you want to have a dash cam or a reverse cam or something like that to monitor outside traffic, that's one thing. But all this other stuff is making things significantly worse.
Yeah.
By doing so. And again, it's this idea of, well, let's just, we can have stupid people do these jobs. No, you can't. You're gonna find this out.
Yeah.
And they still keep, they still keep peddling. Even Musk peddles this, and I know he knows better. He's a smart guy. He's not stupid.
He has to,
You
right?
know, he has to know that this is all a fucking scam, dude.
Yeah.
You're not going to have a bunch of robots doing all this shit. The amount of energy it would take to build the goddamn robots and maintain all of that, and then maintain all those stepper motors,
Yeah.
and on and on and on. Like, it's not reality. I mean, look at how complex the human body is, and it's constantly having to every cell in your body, as I understand, is replaced every 11 months.
Yeah.
That's mind blowing when you think about that.
Yep.
Every cell. So that includes your brain tissue. Everything is replaced in 11 months. Every single cell.
You're a different person every 7 years. On a seven.
Yeah, you're literally a different person.
Yeah.
Completely. And yeah, so you're not going to probably be able to do a whole lot better with your robots and AI and all the tech. And if you could pull it off, how many people do you have to dedicate to that?
Yeah.
To make that happen, you probably end up having to put 2 people on it worth of time and effort and energy to maintain the one. So it ends up costing you more money to try and try and mess with this. It's like the electric car thing. When you just look at the physics of it all, if you pull coal, for example, out of the ground. I'll use coal as a good example. You pull it out of the ground, you burn it, you create electricity. Simple, right? But if you're doing a bunch of other steps, and then you have to mine a bunch of ore, then you have to build your batteries, and on, all this kind of stuff to build these cars. You have an enormous amount of energy commitment to get this on a vehicle that is not going to last long enough. The batteries won't last. None of the stuff is going to last long enough. So whereas, you're in Australia, so a 1974, XBGT, the Road Warrior car. There's guys who still drive those goddamn things.
Goddamn right. Yeah.
I mean, it's just kind of how it is.
Yeah.
So you still, and in the States, same thing. There are cars that are on the road that are 30 years old. Some of my favorite are old Ford pickup trucks that are still to this day not only on the road, but they're in really good condition.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, I mean, that's your cost in terms of your environment. And you're like, well, what's the most environmentally friendly? It isn't a battery anything. It's just it's a used car that the resources have already been committed to build it, and now you maintain it. That's it. That's the number one most environmentally friendly car you could buy.
Yeah.
Because the resources have already been committed to build the thing in the first place. Yeah, because that's the big problem, is that it takes an enormous amount of energy commitment to build a car. So you would want to keep it for as long as you can. There are airplanes. I mean, all the airplanes that I learned to fly were all made in 1979.
Yeah.
I mean, every plane I've flown is like 1979 or 1977. Planes that are almost as old as I am.
Yeah.
So there's people maintaining them, and they still fly just as good as they did the first day that they took off. So That's what you're actually after. So I think that it's a great gimmick, but
Mm.
I don't know that it's gonna,
Oh, look,
you
my
know.
my uncle's hobby is restoring old cars, and he's got a
Hmm,
1920s Jaguar, and it's one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen. It's like it's got the side runners. It's like you should be standing on the
yeah,
side holding a Tommy gun, shooting at people.
yeah, 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 yeah.
It's just this magnificent piece of machinery. It's got this small little motor.
Hmm.
It just goes. It's just amazing. It's just extraordinary
Yeah,
the way these things were built. And if that thing got
yeah,
in a crash with a modern car, the other car, the new car, would be totaled. This thing would have a
yeah.
dent. If you hammer that
Yeah,
out.
I mean, that's the thing too, is that, a lot of the cars, the build quality, the construction, all that stuff could actually be improved.
Mm,
In other words, I would make the argument that rather than try and reinvent the wheel, why
mm,
don't you perfect the wheel?
yeah,
And start, maybe building, start changing the metallurgy a little bit. Go onto the atomic level. Start changing the metallurgy. Start making the materials themselves better,
mm,
so that the vehicles last even longer. That
yeah,
you get a lot more out of them. And I would argue that that would be the better choice to go to, the better direction to go, rather than more plastic cars, more gimmicks.
yeah.
There was a criticism that I had, and I'm not criticizing China. I think that China is an interesting country, but I saw this car they were advertising, right, and it was like, it's this space age, and everybody's commenting about, like, China's living in the future. People are pissed, right? They're like, why is China living in the goddamn future, and we're stuck at, here with, with all this. And it's like, I'm watching this video of this car, and again, from a service technician standpoint, because this is the kind of stuff that I deal with,
Yeah.
not in the car sector, but in the generator sector.
Mm-hmm.
And there are so many motors and automated gimmicks and everything, like, there's all kinds of like, literally moving parts.
Mm-hmm.
And trying to explain to an average person, dude, every time you put a moving part into something, every time, you have wires going to it, minimum of two, because you have your positive and your negative.
Yep.
Every time you do that, you have to add a motor, and then there's a servo, and there's a bearing, and on and on and on. Okay, when you start figuring all this stuff in, yes, that is highly cool to look at. But from a warranty standpoint, oh my God,
Oh yeah.
it's going to be in the shop, every 3 months for something that's going to break.
Yeah.
And it's probably not every, it could be every 2 months. It'll be at the dealership being fixed because something on it broke.
Yeah.
And there's a practical reality to this kind of stuff that a lot of people, if you never work with this stuff, you have no way of knowing.
Yeah.
And all those little gears and all those little springs, they're all plastic.
Mm.
They're not, most of this stuff is not high grade, like high carbon steel.
Mm.
That would weigh a ton to do that if you did all that stuff.
Yeah.
No, most of it's going to be like just a resin plastic, or 3D printed. It's going to be stuff like that, injection mold, and it's like, yeah, that kind of stuff doesn't wear well, and especially over a long period of time. There's this chick that I see on TikTok every now and again. I think she goes by the Science Girl or something like that. Anyway, she's this blonde girl,
Okay.
and she was talking about this video I just saw the other day, and it ties right into this. She's talking about people who have gotten implants or have gotten bionic stuff, like an eye or something like that, things like this. And what happens is, now something goes wrong with it, but the company's no longer in business.
Oh shit.
And so there's now no way to fix any of this stuff that has been, that's like, there's no way. And it's like, that's the problem
Mm.
with stuff like that. When you make something so complicated, it looks cool for show, but from the practical, the engineering standpoint, you want the simplest version of itself.
Yeah.
That's what you actually want,
Mm-hmm.
because otherwise it's going to be, the more complicated it is, well, when you run into problems like this, and especially with companies that build something really complex like a eye, right? And she used the example of an like, there's a, I don't remember what it was. She was talking about a company that made, basically, it's a type of an eye that certain people with certain kinds of blindness can get, and they can see
Hmm.
with specific kinds of blindness. So not someone who is like sans an optic nerve. Okay, well, there's nothing you can do for that.
Yeah.
But if but you talk about this, and it's like, yeah, if it's really really complicated, and it has a lot of parts and a lot of stuff in it that is you know prone to failure, the company, if they try to warranty all of that, warranties put companies out of business very quickly.
Right. Yeah.
Because especially if they try to lowball out the price. Like, this is I'm trying to bore people with like the heavy technical business stuff, but like this is the kind of stuff as a businessman that I think about,
Yeah.
because like I have to in my business I have to think about this shit, which is why we're very careful how we word warranties, for that very reason, because that can bankrupt you very quickly if you're having to fix stuff constantly,
Yeah.
and and you didn't make any money on it in the first place. And it's like, yeah, that's the kind of thing that can happen.
Yep.
So same thing I would always point out to anybody with like, is particularly vehicles. Like, yes, it looks really 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 fucking cool, uh, and if you're Jay Leno and you've got the money to to have stuff like that, and then when something breaks, you have a guy who can like literally manufacture the component that broke, because, well, I mean, he's Jay Leno. He can spend $80,000 to get one little part made that
Mm.
nobody makes anymore.
Yeah.
Most of us can't. Most of us aren't going to be able to do that. You're just going to be like, well, I guess it broke, and that's it.
Yeah.
You know, the motorized refrigerated cup holder. Like there's not, now you're just parts. There's chemicals involved, dude. Like
Yeah.
that's super fucking complicated to do stuff like this.
Yeah.
You're trying to create a transformer, for Christ's sake. It's robot car, dude. It's like, and at a certain point, it just it doesn't match up the real world conditions.
Mm. It's interesting that the they've found ways to make warranties make even more money. So something that could
Yeah,
potentially ruin your business. I think these things, a lot of these warranties, they're worded in such a way that it's going to cost you anyway.
yeah.
They'll
Some of it you
cover.
have to do that.
Yeah. So that's an interesting phenomenon. But I was thinking just before, are you familiar with Ian Banks, a
Mm-mm.
Scottish writer? Well, he wrote well, he's Ian Banks, and then he wrote as Ian M. Banks, and
And
he would write.
the name sounds familiar, but
It would
I can't say
it
it.
would sound familiar. He wrote he's written a lot of books. Great author, but he wrote a lot of books in this series he called the Culture series, and the culture and Elon has talked about the culture because that's his vision for the future.
Mhm.
And the culture is this. It is absolutely that place where robotics and AI are
Mhm.
basically taking care of everything, and people can go. This I remember in one of the books, this woman decides she wants to design planets. So they're like, okay, go design planets. Um,
Mhm.
it's so advanced. People live for 500 years. You can change your
Mhm.
sex by getting an injection, and over the 7 years that your body regenerates itself, you change your sex, so you actually
Mhm.
become the female or male version of yourself that you would have been. It's just super
Okay.
advanced, and so I would not be surprised if we start seeing films about the culture, like those Ian M. Banks movies, where it's this the end result is there, and we're showing it off, and we're showing what we want to do, and here's where we're
Mhm.
going. I have a rather more bleak outlook, I guess, because I'm thinking of the
Right.
slave labor and the child labor that's involved in mining the cobalt and the
There's always a hidden underbelly to these kinds of
that's it.
civilizations,
Yeah.
and that's basic physics.
Well,
Um,
that's what the books are often about. That underbelly, what's going on behind the scenes,
yeah,
how yeah.
yeah, that's basic physics. I mean, electrical physics, because you have a positive post on a battery, right? But you can have as much juice as you want on that positive post, but if you don't have a ground,
Yeah.
you don't complete the circuit. Well, that's the same thing that would go with every, as above, so below. That's exactly what it would be like. So yeah, you're going to have this super advanced civilization. Um, a lot of young people in America, they see China, for example, and they say, "Oh my God, China has all these beautiful buildings in this city, and they're living in the future." And on and on and on. It's like, yeah, that's the Soviets saw that about Americans too, but what you're not seeing is all the stuff that they're not showing you,
Yeah.
because which is all of the other stuff that's out there. And there are Chinese content creators that I've seen that have carefully, because they have to be very careful how they talk about this stuff,
Mm.
but they very carefully explain, like, dude, it's, yes, you're seeing this stuff, but just keep this in mind. That's not everybody's living like that.
Mm.
Like, there's a good half of the population does not live like that at all.
Yeah.
It's sort of like those videos. Well, it's like everything else. Everything else nowadays is fucking fake,
Mm.
right? Everything is. It's why I do my videos in the garage and shit. I don't give a fuck what's back there. All my cat filters and truck parts and shit like that, because I'm not gonna. I refuse. I'm just like, everything is fucking fake. It's always showing, like, you go to Instagram. What do you see? People are like showing their life. It's like they're always showing, like, they took 700 pictures to find the one picture that looked perfect, and they're always showing themselves at like some exotic it's like, dude, that's not fucking real,
Yeah.
man. That's they're either being paid to do that, or they're doing it just to try and show off some life that doesn't really exist. It's There was somebody did a video. They showed a I don't know who it was, but it was like a day in the life of a billionaire or something like that, right? And what it came across to me, this is what a poor person would think a billionaire would live like.
Yeah.
That's what it came across as.
That's what it
It's like,
is.
because I'm looking at that going, dude, the cost to live like that full time, even if you're really rich, that's pretty expensive
Yeah.
to do that.
Yeah.
And, and especially to try and do that every single day. To do that, you're assuming that there's no doctor visits,
Yeah.
there's no other, like, like, again, reality shit to deal
Oh
with.
yeah. Nothing ever goes wrong.
And yeah, it's like, this is just not the case. And what you're seeing is this fantasy, and again, it's always selling a fantasy.
Mm-hmm.
In the 1950s and 60s were particularly good for this. Hollywood was pretty good for this. um, there was always a show or something about the future, right? There was always, whether it's the Jetsons or the Twilight Zone or something like that. Whenever Twilight Zone would venture into this, where they would show the space age,
Yeah.
right? It'd be the year 2002, right? Way into the future, and it would show these. Everybody had like home robots that did all this shit for you and violated all the laws of physics. They have endless battery supplies and I don't know, like, all this shit that's just not fucking real.
Yeah.
And there is
Turns out it's a midget in a robot costume.
right,
We're all
yeah,
getting midgets.
yeah, and well, that's actually a joke that I made a long time ago. When I was telling people, like, you do realize that in Star Wars, right? You do realize that C-3PO and R2-D2, those are guys in costumes, right? You do realize that those are not actual droids.
Yeah.
Like, for real, those are not actual droids. Those are people that they have put in these little these contraptions to make a movie.
Mm.
Like, right?
Yeah.
It's just how it is, man. Um, and it's incredibly powerful propaganda. It absolutely is. I mean, movies have always been insanely powerful if they're done right. They're
Oh yeah.
insanely powerful.
Well,
They're insanely
the
powerful.
subconscious can't really tell the difference. So if you go to a
Right.
movie, I mean, this is when they put Roots on TV, and it was like
Mhm.
5 nights, and people were watching this. It became that.
Yeah.
So that was like, that was existence. Everyone had slaves, and they beat them all day
Right.
long. This was like the
Which is complete
pastime.
and total crap. Yeah.
It's nonsense. Yeah. But it sold a lie, and it was like, well, we have an agenda.
Yeah.
We want to push something, so here we go. Yeah.
Well, and that's what I mean. It's like, so because there's so much of that, and it's very easy to to lull people in, I think, to that way of thinking. And I think that Elon is good at it. He is.
It's
I
great.
mean, he's good at lulling people into the idea that it's going to be like this. And it's like, well, dude, I mean, there's again, there's physics, there's engineering, there's so much involved in here,
Mm.
and there's also an enormous amount of cost. And if you're just going to use fiat money for all of this, then you're going to, yeah, you can defer all of this out into the future and make other future generations just constantly be enslaved to pay all this shit.
Yep.
And of course, I always try to bring people back to the reality. In a hard money environment, none of this shit is possible,
Yeah.
not even close. And it's discovered very quickly that, like, nope, it's not profitable. Not only is it not profitable, it is unworkable. It's
Yeah.
it's a you're like, there's no way to actually make any of this stuff actually work unless somebody just has a lot of money and they are willing to subsidize all of it.
Mm.
You know, be like a hobby, right? And that's fine. You can do that. But as far as making it like a profitable enterprise, no, no,
Yeah.
no, not in any kind of real money environment, um, because you have to have enough profit to sustain the business, all of the business aspect of what you're doing, and there just isn't.
Yeah.
There, most of these, I've asked the question on many occasions: if government spending all over the world, let's say, went to zero, how many businesses would survive it? Probably none.
Yeah.
I mean, it's that bad. So, it's like the spending is all predicated on just endless, that there's resources just forever. We can
Yep.
just forever have this. Like, no, you can't. What you have is the underbelly.
Yeah.
You have a civilization of people who are always and forever going to be on the bottom of that,
Mm-hmm.
that are going to be absorbing it. And then, of course, if you never really see those people, or if you train a bunch of people to keep saying, no, just work harder, get a second or third or fifth job or whatever it is, do five other extra side hustles and all this bullshit. Yeah, I mean, that's certainly what you can do. If I remember right, there was the story of the Buddha. I don't remember who told the story. I think it was Jordan Peterson that told the story about, and I don't remember the whole story, so don't hold me to it. But it was like there was the prince or something who lived inside this paradise, and everything for him is absolutely perfect. And his father made it like this so that way he could have this perfect life. And then one day he goes outside the walls and then sees that there's all these people toiling so that he can have this perfect life. And he's like, and he's having this hard time processing what he's seeing, because it's like, well, no, a life shouldn't be like that. Like, yeah, there's no, again, it's like there's no way around the laws of physics. You don't get
Mm-hmm.
around this.
Yep.
You don't violate physics, you confirm it. That's all you do. You just keep confirming it over and over and over, and that's all that happens here.
Mm.
And so this prince then, has this epiphany and realizes that, oh my gosh, like, this is really horrible. Like, well, it is and it isn't. I suppose it depends on your perspective. But if you have one person who is trying to have it all, like, literally, in the most literal sense, well, then, yeah, you're going to have a bunch of people who have nothing as
Mm.
a result of that.
Yep.
Whereas if you stop doing that, well, then now all of a sudden everybody else is able to keep what they make, and they're able to prosper on their own.
Mm.
Big difference there. Just a difference in philosophy entirely.
Yeah.
And so, and there's a learning experience that goes along with all of that. And that's the part that I think that there's still, and there really is still a lot of, I mean, to be fair on my criticism, because I mean, I pick on boomers all the time, but I do have some criticism, for the millennials and Gen Z as well,
Mm.
which is that I see a lot of these videos where it's like, people aren't meant to work all day. That's bullshit. I don't know who told you
Yeah.
that. You're not supposed to slave away all day long for giant corporations that hate you and governments that hate you. Yeah, I will agree with you on that. But to suggest that somehow you're entitled to the Simpsons episode, right? Where Homer's in the Garden of Eden and the pig just sort of lays down and he just pulls bacon out of the pig. Like, that's not, dude, come on. That's not reality.
Yeah.
You, you know, you assuming what if there were no giant corporations and no giant government? There was just you on this planet.
Mm.
Well, the default setting. You're going to be pretty fucking busy.
Mm.
You're going to be busy all day,
Yeah, yeah, you're working
just
for
trying to
survival.
survive.
Yeah,
You know. So yeah, I mean, like this is where, of course, if you want to have your many hands make light work, then you need division of labor. And if you want division of labor, you have to have a civilization. If you have a civilization, you have to have some way of, exchanging energy, which means you need to have money. I mean, like this is how this kind of stuff works. But none of this shit is ever explained to anybody.
yeah,
It's really horrible. It's aggravating.
yeah. Well, I think a lot of just to, I mean, reiterating your point, it's the problem a lot of people have is that you're told get a job, work your ass off, that'll pay your rent and just about cover your bills. You might be able to eat. And then you get a side hustle. So most people are just going, well, why don't I just do the side hustles? Why don't I
Right.
opt out of this bullshit system?
Well, yeah, and the companies don't like you. They make it very clear. You got companies that are posting the so-called synthetic jobs. I guess
oh
that's
yeah,
the fancy colloquialism that they're using is synthetic jobs. Like you mean fake jobs? It's
yeah,
bullshit. It's a bunch of make work stuff for the HR chicks because it's always fucking HR chicks
yeah,
that are posting this shit and then doing these. Like, well, I went back for my ninth interview. Who the fuck is interviewing somebody 9 times?
yeah.
Like, what the hell is the matter with you, dude? I mean, you should know within the first 1 to 2 interviews
If you get a
if you
callback,
can work with this person. Yeah,
if you
I
get a
mean,
callback, you should be like, okay, I've done well. I'm in the final
yeah,
5 or whatever it is. Yeah, 9
yeah,
is
yeah. I mean,
ridiculous.
we should be like narrowing this down and like, okay, what time am I showing up Monday, and when are we doing onboarding?
Yeah,
Right? I mean, like, but these ridiculous stories that I hear on TikTok from people that are like, I went back for my seventh interview. I'm like, what the fuck? That's just somebody trying to justify their job.
yeah,
That's all that is.
yeah,
That's just an HR person who has nothing to do.
yeah,
And so they're like, well, let's just do another interview. I'll schedule a meeting and I'll look busy.
yeah,
And it's like that's complete bullshit to do something like that. Back in the, again, and I hate to say it this way, but back in my day, managers used to actually hire their own fucking people. They didn't have like, this nonsense. Go to see this. No, dude, you actually spoke directly to somebody who had the hiring and firing of authority at the time, and that was for good reason because they were the ones who had to work with you,
yeah.
not HR.
Mm.
I mean, unless you're applying for HR, right? But I mean, like, you're actually working with someone there. So, when I know when I was a manager of of a restaurant back, like, well, a long, long time ago for me, but I would do that. I would interview people, and if I thought that I could have a working relationship with them, I would just hire them on the spot.
Yeah,
If I thought that they were worthy, that they were going to do a good job, and that I could work with them, and my only rule was, could I train this person?
yep,
Could I train them to be at least as good as me? They don't have to be better than me, but can they be at least as good in the next three months, in 90 days?
yeah,
And that was my only litmus test. And as long as they could pull it off, I'm good.
yeah,
I mean, I wasn't worried about their personality or who they voted for or some shit like that. Like nowadays, it's all based on do we like this person's personality, and do their bumper stickers offend me? Dude, like fucking nobody cared about that, and least of all me. Fuck, I don't give a shit about
yeah.
that.
Well, that's
you know,
corporations doing that. That's the smaller
yeah,
jobs.
yeah,
I probably should never have gotten the job if, like, going by my social media and whatnot. I probably should never
right,
have gotten the job at the art center, but because the manager was a great dude, he was just like, yeah, you're good, come to work.
yeah. I can't imagine somebody going crawling through my social media. I I just can't imagine someone crawling through my social media, and then saying, like, yeah, we want to hire you and put you in a position of some kind of authority around a company. Like, because I mean, like, okay, well, I'm going to fire a lot of people first, just so you know. I'm going to bring a lot of chaos to your organization,
Yeah,
because I'm not going to keep people here, like that are just here. I mean, like they got to be competent. They got to, like there is this. every time I default back to this, I think about this shit. I think about this probably more than I should. It's lived rent free in my head for like 2 years now, and it shouldn't. It was that it was before Elon bought Twitter,
Okay.
right? There was this viral video that this girl did of her day on her a day in her life at Twitter as an employee at Twitter, and it was jobbery. It was like, this is bullshit, dude. Are you fucking kidding me? She basically did nothing all
Yeah.
day long. She showed up and she had a mimosa, and then she went to the puppy therapy room, and then she went to the massage parlor, and then she went and got like a catered breakfast or something like that, and then she
Hmm.
went up to the rooftop lounge where she got drunk. Like what the hell are you doing all day?
Yeah.
And then there was she had a meeting to do in a meeting booth, whatever the like really a meeting. You mean the equivalent of a phone booth?
Yeah.
Like, and then she had to answer an email, and that was her whole day. It was like, dude, no one does this.
Yeah.
That's not a thing.
Yeah.
No one in the real world gets to do shit like that and be paid, upwards of probably six figures to go to job berea all day long. And like, no one gets that. That's insane.
Yeah.
Um, and then, as I recall, because I mean that was the joke, right? When Elon bought Twitter, I think he fired like 4,500 people or something like that,
Yeah.
basically, that were just completely unnecessary jobs. They were
Mm.
just showing up and dicking around all day.
Yeah.
So, no wonder they had a puppy therapy room. You had people dicking the dog all day long. So they had puppies everywhere, I'm sure. So yeah, I mean, like, this is the kind of thing that was going on. It's like, yeah, that'd be
Yeah.
me. Yeah.
Well, the thing that
My
fascinates
whole
me.
company runs with three fucking people,
Yeah.
and we like it that way.
Yeah.
Because, well, I mean, the three of us know our jobs really well, and there's a shorthand.
Yeah.
Like, that's, if we brought a fourth person on, man, I don't know, that'd be brutal for them to try and keep up. So
Yeah. I have seen quite a lot. Many of the tech industries seem to be, their profits come from investment. It's not from actually
yeah,
creating anything. It's not from doing anything. They're constantly like, well, we're in tech, and there's all these people that just want to throw money at tech. So they're like, anything in
Mhm.
tech, just throw money at it, something will work out. And they
It's
figure
the
it out
dot com
11 years
shit
in.
of the '90s.
That's it. Yeah.
Nothing's really changed. It's the dot com Ponzi scheme of the '90s,
Mm.
where there's no actual business model where there's a profit that has to be had. It's just keep money coming in
Yep.
to your organization through investors and so on. It's like, yeah, I mean, I guess that's a business model after a fashion. I mean, but that isn't an actual business the way that I think about it.
Yeah.
That requires me to be front facing the public, and I have to produce a result,
Yeah.
for the customer. So when we sell our customers a product, and then we've got to do installation, we've got service involved, we have, like, there's a lot of moving parts
Hmm.
to do what we do, and we have to stand behind all that stuff, and we have to make enough money on that we can cover any ups or downs.
Yeah.
And that's really hard to do nowadays, because I have huge competitors, like massive competitors that I have to deal with all the time, and they can just throw money at it. One of them's owned by Vanguard, for Christ's sake.
Right.
So, like, they have endless money.
Hmm.
Like, for real, they can lose money for the next 20 years if they had to. So this is what I have to compete against. Um and it's what other businesses have to compete against as well.
Yep.
I had the rep asked me, he said, "When are you guys going to expand?" And I said, "What do you mean expand?" Because he asked me that. He's like, "When are you going to expand?" I said, "Well, I have no intention of expanding. Not because I don't necessarily want to or don't know how, but because profit wise, there's really no incentive to expand,
Yeah.
because what you're asking me to do is to buy a building. Now, I don't have a problem with buying a building, but the problem is that, number one, I can't afford a building, but number two, I would have to take on more debt in order to do this,
Yep.
which means that now my carrying costs go up,
Hmm.
which means that any money I would make from the expansion, all that does is feed the bankers. It doesn't do anything for us. It would be me working extremely hard to make the same money that I make now. And this is this is becoming a real for like a lot of small businesses, for example. They're starting to understand
Yeah.
that like, yeah, these huge capital outlays. That's why I think, commercial real estate's having a big shit fit right now. I saw that in Denver, according to Triple Net Investor, saw in Denver there was a building that sold back in, like, I think it was 2018 or 2019, for $354 million was the what the building sold for. It just sold for like 3.5 or something like that.
Right.
It basically went to nothing. It I mean, and it's a huge building too.
Yep.
This isn't, and it's like, yeah, because the businesses can't justify these costs any longer. You've taken all the piss out of these. All of the profit that was in these businesses is gone now. So, this idea of, okay, we'll lease the space at whatever it is, $2-3 a month per foot, and then I've got all the overhead, the carrying cost, the electric bill, the garbage fees, all the stuff that nobody talks about. When you go to the airport Marriott and you see the guy in the suit at the airport Marriott telling you how to get rich and whatever the fuck ever they're, the scam that they're running, and it's like, and they conveniently forget all of this other shit that's behind the scenes on all this stuff that nobody fucking thinks about, until they get themselves into it and realize, oh my God, I'm screwed. Yeah, that's because they didn't tell you all this. They
Yeah.
got you to buy the book.
Yep.
You bought the book and the kit. You paid $600 to go to that goddamn seminar at the airport Marriott. That was the actual business.
Yeah.
That's their business model. You making any kind of profit, that's serendipity at best.
Yeah.
So, and that's kind of how it works.
Yeah. I
Go ahead.
No, no, just I've seen this more and more. Um, I got involved with a friend a few years ago that got involved with this flipping real estate thing, and there was a company that would choose a town, and the scam for them was they'd find this town, nice town, they'd go in and buy up various properties, and then they'd bring in the the people that they were, we're going to bring you in, you're going to make all this money. And so then they would flip a lot of those properties straight to the the investors. They'd hold on to the
Right.
best ones. They'd wait, and these people would descend like vultures and absolutely destroy the town.
Hmm.
Rents and prices would go up. People, like one of the towns we went to in New Zealand, a beautiful little town. We were in around seeing these places. There was one we were going to be kicking a a woman with 5 children out of her house, and everyone was okay with it. And I was like, I can't
Yeah.
do that. I'm not. That
Yeah.
doesn't sit right with me. And they were like, well, she can get another place. And I was like, yeah, twice the rent. Like,
Yeah.
do you like the? Yeah, it just. And I'm seeing that more and more with every. It's about getting suckers involved. Really, it really is just
Yeah.
that whole thing.
It's not these are not real business models, and the way that you can tell, and this is the way that I teach it, when I'm asked, is that any idiot can buy something and raise prices. That doesn't take any skill. There's no acumen involved. There's nothing involved with that. That's
Yeah.
Anybody can do that. It takes actual skill to bring prices down.
Mm.
That takes skill.
Yep.
That's tough. That's hard. That's hard work to bring your prices down and to elevate your quality. To bring your prices down and to bring your quality up, that takes work. That takes an enormous amount of work to pull that off.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the part that's missing from all of this, is that when they, so just like with the rental bros or the housing bros, where it's like, yeah, well, I bought this house and I'm going to raise the rents. It's like, okay, the thing is that you're raising them beyond the market. When the incomes in the area don't support that, you're going above the market,
Mm-hmm.
and then you're complaining that nobody will pay that. Well, the reason they won't pay that isn't because they don't want to necessarily. It's because, dude, you're too far outside of the market.
Yeah.
You're just too far outside of what, it's you could build the greatest car in the world, and then they, like, well, how much is it? 500 grand. Okay, so you've now limited yourself to like Andrew Tate and like 5 other fucking people that'll buy that car.
Yeah.
That's what you've just eliminated. You went too far outside of the normal market,
Mm-hmm.
where you have a mass market appeal. Well, your mass market appeal, for example, on a rental property might be something like $1,000 a month. Would you have a problem finding a tenant for your house at $1,000 a month for your 322 house? Probably not. In fact, you probably have a line of people lined up.
Hmm.
That's in line with the market. That's how you know that you're part of the demand, because you're meeting the market at the demand where the market is, not trying to create a market and then bitch about it, especially in a declining demographic. Like 100 countries all over the world are declining in demographics.
Yeah.
They're not having any fucking kids. So how are you supposed to support all of these basically these rental Ponzi schemes that you've created?
Mm.
There isn't a way.
Yeah.
And this is a disaster that's been coming for all of this. And of course the banks are just going to keep all this stuff propped up because they've been loaning money into this at the peak.
Yeah.
So it's, just, I don't share the optimism that some of my colleagues have where they say like, well, prices should be able to start coming down. Like, we'll see. Because remember, keep in mind, they owe a bunch of money in all this.
Mm.
Think about it like this. Imagine that you bought a stock on margin, because that's a brilliant idea, right? So you bought a stock at something at like $10, and you kept buying all the way up until it's like 150 or something like that. And then you go all in at like 300, and then the stock collapses. Now remember, you're on margin the whole way up.
Mm.
So when it collapses, you have a margin call and it drops down to $25. Well, you have a huge problem now.
Fucked.
You have a massive, massive problem. You are proper fucked. You're done, dude. Well, that is what real estate is supposed to be doing right now.
Right.
But they're not going to allow that because, number one, you'd have a bunch of young people that buy up houses for cash, which is what would happen. You'd have something called price discovery, and you'd have young people buying these up, and of course, then they'd start having families and kids and shit like that. And God forbid we have that.
Mm.
So this is part of an agenda, and this idea of this one way ratcheting everything up, and that's what it's required. That's what all of this con requires.
Mm.
It requires prices to always go up. It cannot have prices coming down.
Yeah.
Because all these companies have borrowed at the peak. They keep borrowing into this, and so if your market goes away and you owe a whole bunch of money and you have no way of paying it, well, and of course, the old saying goes, if you owe the bank $100,000, that's your problem. If you owe them $1 trillion, that's their problem. Now they have to figure out how to keep you afloat.
Yeah.
And, at any cost, because for them, it's like, it's life and death.
Yeah.
And that is exactly what's happened in real estate all over the Western world.
Mm.
All over the Western world. This has happened in real estate. It's not just Australia.
Yeah.
It's the States, it's Britain, it's everywhere. That everybody's dealing with this, where these insane prices. So yeah, I definitely see that kind of stuff happening.
I think there is an actual business model where the end goal of building a business, even businesses, and especially in tech, businesses that don't really produce a lot, don't really do a lot, their whole goal is to become too big to fail. Mm-hmm. So they have. I saw a guy. When you look at businesses like Amazon and Facebook and these things, they didn't turn a profit for many years. They were operating, right. So there is that. You need to put in those hard yards and eventually turn a profit. But there's also a model where, and I heard a guy talking about this, and he said the way we do it is we get a bunch of investors to get your startup off the ground. You get that initial investment, and then you keep working that angle. So you've got like 11 years or 12 years worth of investors for down the line. Mm-hmm. So you can, every year you can just keep filling that tank without turning a profit. Mm-hmm. And this is this is the business model.
That's Uber. There's a whole bunch of companies that fit that exact description.
Yeah.
That are basically unworkable Ponzi schemes.
Yeah.
That they don't have. Nobody listens on this, but like before Buffett retired, he retired about a month and a half ago or something like that. Before Warren Buffett retired, everybody was wondering like, well, how come Berkshire isn't spending any of their money? How come they're buying? Because he sees the same things that I see. None of the fundamentals make any sense. Nothing. this is pure fantasy.
Mm.
All of this is speculation, fantasy. It's bullshit. There's nothing there's no fundamentals that support any of what's going on.
Yep.
And the number of people that understand this stuff is vanishingly small.
Mm.
It really is.
Yeah.
I mean, let's be real here. We're talking about maybe 5%
Mm.
of the population that would be able to follow along our conversation here and genuinely understand it. And then the trick is, of course, because it's such a vanishingly small number of people, and I'm being generous at the 5% mark, by the way. Um, you know, because of that, it's not like they're going to explain this to everybody else and that everybody else is going to understand this. It just doesn't work that way.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many people that again they're in the same problem like we talked about in the very beginning, which is that's all cool and all, man, but I got to go to work tomorrow.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I mean, it's they are caught in this trap. It really is just exactly that. It is 100%. It's a trap.
Yeah.
Get caught up in, and where you maybe you do understand it, but what can you do about it?
Mm.
And that's the number one question. It's probably not number. Well, that's probably like the number 3 question I get. But it's definitely up there. It's in top 5 of like, well, what can we all do? It's like, the solution I have is probably not. It's not the solution, but it's a solution, and it requires all of the people that are my right leaning followers to be willing to work with the left,
Yeah.
and they're not
Yeah.
going to do it. They're
Yeah.
not. They can't accept that. They can't accept the idea of things like when I talk about the minimum wage and I say, well, you need to push for the minimum wage to go to $150 an hour. Like they're circuit breakers. They've had this hammered into their head ever since the 90s. They've had this just beat into their head that no, we need to get rid of the minimum wage and that'll help the economy. Like, no, that's not. This isn't a real economy. This is a
Mm.
fantasy. This
Yeah.
is complete. A fantasy is me being charitable. This is bullshit. That's what this is. This is a lie. Fantasy is me being very charitable about this.
Yeah.
No, it's a lie. It cannot continue to work. It is totally unsustainable. All they're trying to do is just run the clock out until a bunch of people die off, and the fertility for the women basically clocks out at
Yeah.
40,
Yeah.
and they're not that far off. In the 15 years, and it won't matter.
Mm.
15 more years, the shit won't even matter.
Yeah.
I mean, you're basically. I mean, like, not to inject a racial element, but there is some truth to this. Your Anglophiles, they're done in
Yeah.
15 more years.
Yeah.
If this continues, they're done.
Yeah.
There's just no coming back from that, and which means that all of a lot of your innovators, a lot of the people who the guys who knew how to do stuff are going to end up going away.
Yeah.
And it's what's going to be left. That's a question. I don't know.
Mm.
You're going to end up with the dark ages probably.
Yeah.
If you're not careful. And it's not to say that it's all because of white people. No. That's not what I'm saying at all. There are plenty of other innovators everywhere else,
Yeah.
but you have certainly a plurality that you're going to lose,
Yeah.
which means that now you're going to be stuck with just whatever you have, and that's not good. That's there's genuinely something to look at with that. Japan is not faring well either.
Mm.
Japan is doomed.
Yeah.
And I think even a lot of people in Japan kind of know that they're sort of doomed.
Yep.
Because they just can't bring their birth rates up, and it's because, well, I guess there's a lot of cultural reasons for that. And it's a shame too. I mean, what an incredible culture, what an incredible people.
Yeah.
What an insanely incredible history. So
Yeah.
it's really a shame to lose out on some of that. But that is becoming kind of the reality. There is a dysgenic effect of basically getting a whole bunch of people to have a bunch of kids just for the sake of having kids. So it's just like the comment. I think it was like Trump and a few other people have made this comment too. Like, well, we'll pay people to have kids. That is a spectacularly terrible idea. That's what you've done.
Mm.
You've effectively done that, and that's what's created the problems we have right now. Many of them is that people just wouldn't have a bunch of kids they didn't give a shit about. They didn't, so they didn't bother to think about, like they didn't bother to have these kinds of conversations with the teachers.
Yeah.
This exact kind of conversation of like, what kind of curriculum are you doing here? Like, what exactly are you? Is there anything about math and physics? or is it all just bullshit? How awesome FDR was,
Yeah.
right? I
Yeah.
mean, like
Yeah.
just weird nonsense, and memorizing factoids that have nothing to do with nothing.
Mm.
Like, is that what it is? Because yeah, but when you have a bunch of people who just have a bunch of kids and they don't give a fuck, well,
Yeah. Well,
and then it's like, oh, just make the schools do it. Like they're not set up for that.
yeah. I saw something recently that it just made me go, oh, I wonder if this could possibly happen. But it was like a feminist talking about, no, I want to stay home. And I thought, wouldn't it be
Mhm.
great if, like, fifth or sixth wave feminism, they just all came out and went, we're not going to vote and we're going to stay home and we're going to have kids and we're going to fucking take care of the house. Fuck
We're,
yeah.
we're going to be empowered.
Yeah. And
This is actual empowerment, putting on a sundress and cranking out 5 kids.
yeah, because when they brought and I, yeah, like you said, I don't want to go down the MRA thing or but
Mhm.
when they brought women into the workforce, essentially doubling the workforce and halving the
Mhm.
wages,
Yeah.
and putting them in powerful positions where it is this thing of safety. Everyone has to be safe. Men
Mhm.
didn't really worry about that shit so much. Just like,
No,
hey, if you
no. I
lose a
mean,
finger, you lose a finger. Fucking just do
look
your
at
job.
yeah. Look at the way a lot of civilization was built. It
Yeah.
was built by a bunch of guys walking around on I beams, 700 feet up.
Yeah.
No safety harnesses, no nothing. Carrying a bucket of hot rivets.
Yeah.
You know, like
Having a
like
rest,
molten hot rivets.
having a
Like
nap
what the
after
hell?
eating their lunch and just then having
Yeah.
a nap on fucking 700 feet up.
Yep.
Just bam.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's it. And putting together building, like the Empire State Building or the Chrysler Building in 13 months.
Yeah. Look,
Like
if women
it's just
really
it's
do,
almost unbelievable to even say that, but
yeah,
that's what happened.
yeah. If women really do want, if they're like at the point where they're saying, where are all the real men and all this kind of
Hmm.
stuff, well, they really have to agree to let us just take over again because that's kind of what we
Yeah.
do. That's what makes, that's what, elevates your testosterone is being in charge of something instead of this,
Hmm.
whatever the hell this is we've got now. But
It's
it is,
definitely a mess.
yeah, it's a, there's the macro and the micro in all of these things. And I just, yeah, I don't know. It would be fun to see the feminists come out and go, fuck you, we're not going to vote. I'd love to see that. It would be hilarious. Just the circle of it.
Nothing would surprise me anymore, I suppose. But yeah, I mean, it would be interesting to see something like that happen,
I was,
because there is that number of women that are trying to find, like, where are all the real men? Well,
yeah,
dude, I mean,
well, we're
it,
gone. Yeah. Yeah. There's been so much of that. I was thinking this the other day, like back in 2013. Remember, I posted the thing about the Biden, Hunter Biden for president and Biden
I
Maxwell
saw
ticket.
that.
Yeah. It's just nothing would surprise me anymore. Think back to like 2013. Did you ever
I
think you would
I would
say the
I would
phrase?
so love to see it.
Yeah. But did you ever think you'd utter the phrase President Donald Trump?
Right. Yeah. No kidding.
Yeah. So it's just
It, it
nothing would
it's
surprise
out
me
of left
anymore.
field.
Yeah.
It's out of left field. I mean, I remember, he used to talk. There was video clips of him talking about running for president back when he was like in his 30s or something like that, where he mentioned something about it.
Yeah.
But it's like, well, I mean, and of course, I hope that I hope that people are learning their lessons. I particularly hope that a lot of the conservatives are learning their lessons as well. That, like, look, you're gonna have to not vote for people who come from. You're gonna have to not vote for billionaires. You're gonna have to not vote for people who are part of the Republican Democrat machine, either
Mm.
side,
Yeah.
because frankly, they're both a disaster.
Mm.
Like, you're gonna have to, like, start looking for, like, I don't know, real people in the real world. You're
Yeah.
like the people who live in the real world, because if you're just going to keep voting for people like this that are completely detached from all reality, everything is a top down solution. There's no bottom up solutions, that is just right on brand for Trump.
Yeah.
That is right on brand for him. I expect nothing less.
Yeah.
It's always something like, I'm going to do this deal with this giant company or government. Like, there's never anything about how we need to reduce regulations altogether and get rid of all this stuff so that way small businesses can flourish.
Mm.
It's never even brought up. It's not even a discussion.
Yeah.
It's always something big, something huge, right? It's always something like this, and it's like that's not how you fix anything.
Mm.
I can tell that you're not a construction. I can tell that you've done nothing in construction. I mean, yeah, I mean, and it's like he comes from a construction background, but I can tell you don't know shit about it.
Yeah.
I can tell you don't, because the first thing you start with is the fucking foundation. And if your foundation's fucked, it doesn't make any difference what you do up here.
Yeah.
It just doesn't. You can remodel the kitchen all you want; it's still going to look like shit
Yeah.
because you have to have this fixed properly.
Mm.
And right now, your foundation, which is your your Constitution, your Bill of Rights, all that shit is being ignored.
Yeah.
And and it's and everything is gimmicks. It's gimmicks and cute ideas and things like this. Is to say nothing of the Epstein list. I haven't even brought that up.
I know. Yeah.
I haven't even gotten into something like that. I don't
Yeah.
like, dude, it goes without saying, like the handling of that is spectacularly bad.
Mm.
The optics on that alone are crazy, that he would, like, dude, you're making people care about it more.
Yeah.
You're driving all of this
Yeah.
because of the way you've handled this.
Mm.
If it, like, I don't care if I don't care if the whole country fucking burns to the ground, dude. You need to you've got a lot of people now that doubt everything.
Yeah. Yeah. That
You
was
know,
a.
you've lost a lot of your base
Yeah.
as a result of it too. I mean, dude.
It's interesting to watch. Like, he really has got, like, because I got caught up in the hype of Trump. I like when it,
Everybody
2016.
did.
Yeah, I was like,
Oh, everybody
fuck
did.
yeah, this is
Everybody
going to
did.
be great. Yeah.
Yeah.
And now the disappointment and seeing
Hmm.
just, yeah, how much he is just part of the machine, and
Yeah.
it's just, yeah. It's just not.
It's a
I'm
lack of
wondering it
leadership.
now. It's his final term, even though he talks about a third term.
Right.
He'll
Right.
talk about whatever he wants.
Yep.
He's very good at speaking reality into existence. I'll give him that. He's very good
Yeah.
at being like, no, this is the greatest thing ever, and the
Right.
amount of
Right.
people that believe it, and it turns out it's shit, and then you're
Yep.
like, but he
Yep.
says it's the greatest thing ever. So I don't know. He's definitely the greatest shit talker ever.
There is that.
Mm.
He's definitely good at it. The trick is going to be like, well, are people going to be able to see enough of reality? I don't know. I
Yeah.
mean, I really don't anymore. Um, there, on the one hand, you could say that, well, people are kind of dumbed down, and so they'll kind of fall for anything.
Yeah.
Okay. Um, on the other, though, there is this proliferation of the internet, and there's the proliferation of stuff like this that we're doing,
Mm.
and the proliferation of, I mean, like, it is a lot easier to get a message out there, and especially if you're not trying to pull a grift
Yeah.
on it.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and I've noticed that there's a lot of people that they're just trying to pull a grift so they can make money off of it.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not about the money, it comes through. It's something that comes through in your voice, or something. It's mannerisms. 60. What is it? I've heard conflicting numbers. Something between 70 and 90% of all human communication is not even verbal.
That.
And there's something that comes across
Yeah.
for someone who genuinely doesn't want your fucking money. Like, keep your fucking money. I don't even care about that.
There's a
But we need to
guy.
fix some real problems here.
Yeah. There's a guy on YouTube that does his whole channel is about physiognomy, and
Mhm.
he breaks. He'll analyze people, and it's spot on. You
Mhm.
really do wear your intentions and your character on your face. Like,
Yeah.
it comes out, and yeah, it just, I've kind of gone by
It's
people,
subconscious.
it is. And
It's done completely subconscious.
I think this is why physiognomy has been poo-pooed as a science, that they just go, no,
Yeah.
this is bullshit, because it makes people too aware that there are just some people you shouldn't trust.
Yeah. There is something to that. I
Mm.
mean, there are people out there that you can. There was this video. I just saw this recently. There was a black man, and he had a professional makeup artist make him into a white man. So that, because the theory being that I'm going to go ask for directions. and I'm going to be treated differently because they see a white man as opposed to a black man. Right? That's the theory.
Yeah.
But the thing is that, and everybody kind of pointed this out, and I saw this as well. It's like it isn't because of your skin color that's changed here. What happens is that you're not a threat. Your your physiology isn't projecting anything to be other than just a guy who needs directions.
Yeah.
That's it.
Mm.
And people pick up on that.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't make any difference what color you are. They're
Yeah.
going to pick up on just how are you carrying yourself? How are you dressed? I mean, are you dressed like a gangbanger? Okay, well then people are probably going to fucking avoid you
Yeah.
because they don't know. Fuck, they don't. I mean, but if you're just dressed like everybody else and you're just saying, "Hey, excuse me, can you tell me where something is?" Like, there's a, there's just there is that physiological response or physiological echo, I guess, if you
Yeah.
want to say it, call it that, or physiognomy, I guess, suppose you can call it that. But it's like, yeah, that's what happens. Is like, so people were pointing this out. Like, I don't know, dude, this has more to do with how you are behaving than skin color in this. This doesn't really, you're not being rude to
Yeah.
people.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, that's kind of it. And it's like, and so yeah, I mean, you're the to your point. It's like, yeah, I think that if you're being earnest and you're genuinely telling people the truth and you're leveling with them, I do think that there is actually a hunger for that with people,
Yeah.
that they do want people to level with them
Yep.
and stop hustling. Like, dude, why does everything have to be a gimmick? Why does everything have to be a hustle? Why does everything have to be like that's not reality, because that's not how reality is for everybody.
Yeah.
Everything isn't every 5 minutes of the fucking day. That's exhausting
Mm.
to put up with that.
Yeah.
And it's hard to keep up with it. No, let's have a real conversation.
Yeah.
Just like this is. I think I said this a while back. You probably saw this at some point, but like there was a live stream that I was doing. I don't know if you may not have seen this, but there was a live stream I was doing, and somebody had, again, somebody asked me something about politics, which I don't usually talk about a whole bunch, not a ton anyway. I mean,
Mm.
I glance off it here and there when it's relevant to money, but I don't usually go into heavy political analysis.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and I just pointed out, I said, listen, any politician, I don't care what they're running for. I don't care if they're running for president of the United States or fucking dog catcher. It doesn't matter. Like, if they can't do this,
Yeah.
if they cannot do this, like off the cuff, if they have to go ask their handler what their opinion is on something,
Yeah.
if they have to go have a focus group before they send a tweet out, fuck you.
Yeah.
Dude, you do not want them.
No.
They straight up, you do not want them. I don't care if their money's coming from a bunch of foreign sources. Hello? Yeah, dude, no.
Yeah.
The answer should be absolutely not. It just or like that should be a hard no on across the board,
Yep.
no matter who it is. I don't care how good their teeth are. I don't care how awesome their fucking hair is.
Yeah.
When there's a helicopter and not one hair on their fucking head moves. Like, I don't care how clean and pressed their suits are. Dude, if they can't do this kind of shit and they have to have a focus group to tell them what your opinion is, or some handler,
Mm-hmm.
that should be an absolute hard limit. No way.
Yeah.
It should be an automatic no vote. Period.
Yeah.
And that's what I really think that too. I think that if you're going to have politicians, they should be able to do something like this. They should be able to actually engage with people.
Yeah.
And not do that stupid Ted Cruz shit where you're trying to remember a bunch of fucking lines that your handler gave you.
Yeah.
No, dude, you answer the question based upon your actual values.
Mm.
And if people don't like your values, okay, then fuck it.
Yep.
I mean, you're part of the follower cleansing
Mm-hmm.
then. But otherwise, maybe we have something that we can see eye to eye on that has more. Again, it's grounded. It's more realistic. Like, we have to fix some things. Like, again, in America, same thing. No different than the rest of the world. Other countries, like, dude, there's some very real problems that need to be fixed.
Yeah.
And they're not going to be fixed by just a bunch of pie in the sky gimmicks and top down solutions from companies run by a bunch of fucking people who just know how to make money by bringing in investors and running a hustle.
Mm.
That's not going to really solve any fucking problems. You're going to have to actually deal with people who know what the hell is going on.
Exactly.
And now, of course, it also doesn't help that a lot of those people are part of the Epstein list. That isn't helping either.
Mm.
that a lot of these fucking people are, probably, very probably on the list.
Yep.
Not just the famous people, but as I pointed out the other day, like, it's all the people that you've never heard of. That's the real problem. It's the people that no one's ever heard of.
Yeah.
The low the chief of police in some jurisdiction somewhere, a bunch of low end judges,
Mm-hmm.
that nobody's ever fucking heard of, that are on that list, and that they're the ones who steer cases to get the outcome they want, and they create case law. And it, because case law is a big problem in the legal sense. It's huge. I mean, when you start creating tons and tons of case law, you create precedent.
Yep.
And then that just, it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy with further cases. And so you have all this kind of, and not just in the civil sense, but in the criminal sense as well. And so it's all those people that we've never heard of. Those are the real problem.
Yeah.
The one-star general,
yeah,
in the Pentagon, who's giving all kinds of orders to people, who's on that fucking list, and is straight up being like, just like a marionette. He's a fucking puppet.
Yeah.
Of whatever, of the State Department or whoever the hell is pulling his strings.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a big fucking problem.
That is. Yeah. Just back to what you were saying about being able to have a conversation. I mean, that was a big part of what got Trump elected in 2016. He came out and he was just like, I'm just going to talk off the cuff, and he did it brilliantly. Then
he did.
In 23, Kamala did a podcast. It's come out that Kamala did a podcast, and it was so bad, the guy that made the podcast said, "I can't release this because it'll cost her the election." So I'm kind of convinced.
Remember that.
Yeah, well, I'm kind of convinced that
remember that.
I think they handed Trump the election. I think that the orders came down saying, Trump's he's going to play ball. He's going to do what we want. We want him. He
certainly has played ball so far with them,
hasn't he?
I have yet to see anything really particularly shocking.
Yeah.
I wrote an article back in August of 2024, so this is before well before the election.
Okay.
So a year ago, and in the article, I basically laid it out. The title of the article is "Both Barrels." And I laid it out. And so far, I mean, basically everything. It's all right there.
Yeah.
No, there hasn't been any mass layoffs of federal employees. There hasn't been any huge spending cuts on anything. The mass deportations, you are going to get 4 years older waiting for those mass deportations. They're not going to happen.
Yep.
They're going to grandstand on at best 1 to 2 million total deportations over the course of his presidency. And we're right on track for that.
Yeah.
I probably won't even be 1 million at this point.
Yeah.
The number of H-1Bs, which is in the States, is a big problem. That's a huge problem they're creating, because there's a ton of Americans that would like to be getting jobs and would like to get raises, but they keep importing more and more people to keep those wages down and to keep all those jobs full. And so you've got a bunch of Americans trying to get work, and they can't. Because, like, well, you're importing a bunch of people that are supposedly the best and brightest from these other countries, which begs the question of, like, okay, why would that other country give up their best and brightest? Why would that other country why would a country knowingly give up its best people? You would never do that. That would be economic suicide to do that. Yeah. So on its face, it's a scam. Yeah. You're just scamming. You're basically dumping the people. You're doing labor dumping. You're dumping the people that you don't have anything for them to do in their country. You know that they're going to come here, they're going to be paid in dollars, US dollars, and those dollars are worth 10 to 20 times in spending power in that other country in terms of relativity. That's all they give a shit about. So if they're here, they don't give a shit about the domestic population. No different than, I posit that question to Americans. If you could go to some other country right now, some company offered you, $2 million a year to work in this other country. Do you give a shit about that other country? No, not really. No. Do you care what it does to their domestic population? No. You don't give a fuck about them. Do you care about their politics? Do you care what it does to what that does to anybody over there? No, you don't give a shit about it. No different than all the illegals and H-1Bs. They come to the United States, and you have a bunch of Americans saying, "Hey, we want this Epstein list." Go ask any illegal if they give a fuck about that Epstein list. They don't give a fuck about that. They don't care. No. That's as far as they're concerned. That's white people problems. Yeah. That's cul-de-sac dwelling white people problems. That's exactly how they look at it. You ask any of the H-1Bs, do you care about the Epstein list? Nope, don't care. They don't give a shit about this. It's not their problem because they see it as like, well, we're just passing through. We're just migrants. We're just here to make a bunch of money, and then we're gonna fucking leave.
Yeah.
Like that's not the same thing as immigration.
Also,
Migration and immigration are two very different fucking things.
yeah, they also tend to come from a world where that kind of shit is just accepted. They're just like,
It's commonplace.
that's
Yeah,
what happens.
it's no
That's how
big thing.
things work. Yeah.
Yeah, it's no big deal. Like, oh well, you mean the president only has 2 or 3 mistresses? Wow, the president we have has like, has a whole fucking harem,
Yeah.
600 fucking women.
Mm.
And a whole bunch of small children from all over the fucking world. He's got one of every color for all the fucking collection and everything. Like, yeah, what do we give a shit?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fucked up.
Yeah.
It's just completely messed up. So what do they care? But when you have Americans that are saying, hey, we have some like real serious problems here we need to fix. Well, nobody cares about that.
Yeah.
And it is messed up. And so we have all these people that are coming in, and it's like the same thing. So I pointed this out in the article. I said, yeah, that's just going to continue to increase. None of this stuff's going to change. It's just going to be more of the fucking same.
Mm-hmm.
And there is a level of betrayal that some people have caught. They've caught wise. They're like, okay, this is bullshit.
Mm.
This is supreme crap. I'm never voting for this asshole ever again, or anybody. I'm glad to see there are people out there that are saying I'm no longer going to vote for either party, which is what I would push. Dude, if they're on either side, it's an automatic red flag. It should be an automatic hard. Again, like I said, it should be a hard no if they're on either party.
Yep.
It should be a hard no if they can't do this kind of thing.
Yeah.
It should be a hard no if they have a bunch of handlers and foreign money coming into their campaign. We're not talking about somebody, some foreign country, donating $1,000. We're not talking about that.
Mm.
It isn't $1,000. It's like millions of dollars, and it's super PACs and also their bullshit. Like, yeah, dude, if they're doing that, then they own you.
Yeah.
You're owned by somebody else. Your interest isn't the American people, or in the case of Australia, your interest isn't the Aussie people.
Mm.
That's your country. Those are your people, and your job is supposed to be for their best interest. Right.
Yeah.
Well, same thing for American politicians, but clearly it's not.
Mm.
Clearly it's somebody else's interests for over God knows what.
Yeah.
That has nothing to do with the American people.
Mm.
So, I mean, at least that's kind of how I see it. So I'd like to see, more people actually push on that. Like, dude, if it has an R or a D, forget it.
Reject it. Yeah.
Forget it. The answer should just be absolutely no. Should be a hard no, and really send that message to, shame these other politicians. Now they're going to do whatever they want. I think that a lot of the elections are probably fucking rigged. It wouldn't surprise me.
Mm.
But, and of course, also if you're importing a whole bunch of people as well, you're also importing a whole bunch of ignorant voters on top of that.
Yeah.
No different than the wage thing, right? I mean, all you did was dilute the wage pool.
Mm.
You put women to work and you cut the wages basically for everybody.
Yeah.
It's weird. The feminists are right about this. There is a wage gap, but not for the reasons you might think.
Mm.
It's not. It's because if you were to have a man who has a family, how much would he need to do your job from that company? Probably about 4 or 5 times whatever they're paying you, maybe more, depending on where you are in the country, depending on your zip code. So the fact that they're only paying you whatever $80,000 a year when they probably should be paying like $240 to get a guy to go do that job.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, that's a pretty big fucking problem. And all you did was put yourself into a position of working for a company that fucking hates you.
Mm.
That's the other thing too. It drives me crazy with women in the workforce. Like, you realize these companies fucking hate you, right?
Mm.
They absolutely hate you just as much as they hate the men.
Yeah.
They're not going to be there for you. As soon as you've outlived your usefulness, you're fired. Here's your gold watch. Fuck off, and that's it.
Yep.
And they're not going to care about what happens to you after that. And good luck trying to find work after that.
Yeah.
Especially in your 40s. Like, I saw that there was there's another article that came out that said that there's a lot of Gen Xers and even some of the older millennials are complaining because the new hires are making more money than they've made.
Really?
And they've been there longer. Yeah. It's like, well, yeah, it's because they're like, well, they're having to try and entice you in. And these other guys, the so-called old guys, us out here, we don't have as many bills.
Mm.
so they figure they can pay less. Like, that's not how that's supposed to work. That isn't my problem. That, like, no, you need to raise wages across the board if you're going to do something like that.
Yeah.
That's the madness that we live with right now, though.
It is nuts. What they've done in Australia recently is they made it. I can't remember exactly how it works, but they've essentially made it so that the two dominant parties, Labor and Liberal, they can raise a huge amount of money to get themselves re-elected. But they've put limits in place that affect independents and third or fourth tier parties. So they are very limited in the amount of money they can raise
Right.
to get themselves elected.
Go figure.
Yeah. Strange, huh? I don't know.
Yeah.
But
That's
I see a lot of stuff from the youth that gives me hope. But at the same time, I know the way the machine works, people get folded in and they get compromised. It's like if you're doing a job, if you're a manager at a company and there are 5 other managers and someone comes to you and says, hey, you'll get this promotion and you'll get all this money if you do A, B, and C. And even though A, B, and C are against your ethics, against everything, and you're like, I'm going to be fucking over the workers, I'm going to be hated.
Oh.
And they're like, well, we've got 5 other guys to go to. I mean, this is how they break people in interrogations, criminal interrogations, when there's like 3 people caught. And they're just like, one of you is going to talk. And whoever talks gets, a lighter sentence.
I am a fan of I mean, like, this is, I'm pretty honest about it. So I mean, I don't know how it is in Australia, but I mean, in the US, I mean, my personal opinion on this is that, like, because it usually starts with like a threat or something like that, right? I mean, like, that's how it usually works. Like, oh, hey, do this or else, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
I am a fan of stabbing that person right through the fucking throat.
Yeah.
Right then.
Yeah.
The instant it happens.
Yes.
And then putting it on Facebook Live.
Yeah.
And then just, especially if you're an elected official, like, you just like, nope. And by the way, I need 4chan to identify this person and known associates.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm going to need, I mean, like, and that's what it's going to take.
Yeah.
It's going to take that happening one fucking time.
Yeah.
And then where it's like, don't shoot the messenger. Nope. Fuck you. Nope. We're 300ing you. I'm kicking your ass right off into the pit. Fuck you.
Fuck yeah.
And that's what it's what it's going to take. It's going to take someone doing that one time.
Yeah.
And sending a very, very loud and clear message to everybody else after that, dude, we're done. We're not doing this anymore. This is bullshit. And, and of course, like, what are they, what are they going to do? How does one arrest someone who's a politician? Like, how do you go about that?
Yeah.
And especially if you're unapologetic, it's, you don't apologize, nothing.
Yeah.
You don't go out there and start, no apology tour. I own all of this. In fact, I'm keeping the skull. I'm boiling the flesh off it. I'm making the motherfucker's skull into a goddamn dog dish.
Yeah.
I am not playing games with you fucking people.
Yep.
And that is exactly what it's going to take.
That's it.
I think that if it happens, I really think if it happens one time, that would be enough to say things have changed.
Mm-hmm.
We're not playing the same game anymore.
Yeah.
There's a whole new level of game here that's about to happen. And if you push too hard, especially when you figure people are already on edge as it is.
Yeah.
People are already pissed off, and it takes one victory to it. I'm convinced it's one of the reasons why they want to control social media as much as possible. Because if all it takes is one victory, because as soon as people see a victory, there's a psychology that goes with this, right?
Mm-hmm.
People see a victory, they now believe it. They now believe that they can be victorious. So if you saw like a SWAT team or something like that get turned into a fucking cat food at the end of a cul-de-sac, getting drawn into a house and everything, and now they're going to get cut in fucking half, and that's on video and everybody, the whole world sees it. Well, that inspires others.
Yeah. Because
they see it.
Yep.
Now they know, and it's why they control the internet as tightly as they do.
Yeah.
Because everything I just said that's exactly what, and they're like, oh, terrorism. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
I don't care what labor you want to call it. It doesn't matter. The founders of our countries, in fact, the founders of our countries, respectively, were like ultimate fucking terrorists. I mean, like, think about it. I mean, Australia was a prison colony, a
Yep.
bunch of hated people, and like that's a fact.
Yeah.
The U.S. was no different, and so we have that in common. And yeah, I mean, that is, in my view, that is what it's going to take. It's going to take someone who does that
Yep.
and just and doesn't apologize and goes full force into it and says, I'm not complying with shit,
Yeah.
on this. You want to have a trial? Fine, let's have a fucking trial.
Yeah.
And let's publicize it too while we're about it.
Mm.
And while we're about it also, let's have all the American people who bought all those millions of fucking guns show up at the courthouse while we're doing this too.
Yeah. Let's let public opinion sway the thing.
Let's let public opinion actually solve this fucking problem once and for all. And because you guys are like, no more of this. And I think that I really do think that it would definitely change the dynamic. And it would change the opinion of a lot of people who go realize, like, dude, we're not doing this anymore.
Yeah.
No more of this corruption bullshit. And especially if you're not in, that's what's weird. Fuck, man. And I gotta go after this, but I mean, it's what's fucking weird to me is that most of these people sell out. They don't sell out for shit.
Yeah.
Like they don't like they. What are they getting out of it? Like they don't get anything big. It's not like they're getting. If you offered me Australia as my own private estate, I'll talk.
Yeah.
Now we can have a discussion.
Hmm.
But barring a hemisphere, no. I mean, I'm not that fucking cheap.
Yeah.
I mean, you know what I'm saying? You get my point. It's like,
absolutely.
And I'm being I'm using hyperbole, but at the same time, I'm being very serious.
Yeah.
To point out that what these people sell out for is just shit.
Yeah.
And it's insulting to think that that most of these politicians, they sold out for maybe a slightly lower interest rate loan on their house.
Mm.
Like they didn't get anything really for it.
Well, this is why I kind of think that there are people that they have sold it. They got caught up in something first. Do you know what I mean?
Probably.
Like
Yeah, probably.
So so they had the compromise on them first, and they put them in place. And that must be the most depressing thing ever. Like you're doing all this shit and not getting anything out of it. That would, yeah.
Yeah, and that is my guess. I mean, I've been very critical of the MAGA people who try to justify not releasing the Epstein list by, well, Trump's using it to as leverage against them to get the right votes. It's like that's even worse.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is not a flex, dude. That's even worse.
Yeah.
That makes all of this work because now what you're effectively saying is that shit's sanctioned.
Yep.
No, this is all a terrible idea. There's nothing good that's coming out of this. And again, all you're doing is making more and more people progressively more suspicious of all of this. So no, none of this is positive. I'd like to see a definite change on it. So we'll see how long it takes. But with the younger people that are out there, hopefully, because they tend to be more internet savvy, my hope is that maybe the money stops mattering as much, right? Because think about the way politics operates, right? You don't need to buy Super Bowl advertising anymore. Like you don't need that anymore. In fact, if you want to get the most advertising, for the money, which costs almost nothing, you would go on like Joe Rogan's podcast or something like that.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I mean, whether I agree with Joe or not is totally irrelevant in terms of viewership. In terms of long form and being able to get a lot of people and talk, like you're reaching millions of people at one time.
Yep.
And same thing with a lot of other podcasts that are out there. And none of that really costs anything. It doesn't take a lot of money to do that. It doesn't take any money to turn on your camera and do TikTok videos.
Yeah.
It doesn't take any money to do that.
Yeah.
Or do live streams. It doesn't make any money to fucking do that kind of stuff. So, like, to me, it just seems like, the money may end up becoming irrelevant shortly, if that, because, well, where are all the eyeballs? They're, and especially, like I said before, especially if you're being earnest about it, and you're like, dude, keep your fucking money. I don't give a shit about your money. So, hey, if you want to donate, go ahead and donate, but that's not what we're here about. What we're here about is trying to actually fix some shit.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of fucking problems.
Yep.
and we got to do something about this kind of stuff. And some of this stuff's going to take debate because some of it is challenging. I'm still vexed on the idea of private property versus personal property.
Mm-hmm.
How do we, because that's a real problem. You in the West, you have this idea of like, well, let's do, the libertarian idea, let's do private property. Yeah, but they're printing dollars out of nothing to buy it up.
Yeah.
So is it private property if you're doing that, or is it basically stolen property?
Mm.
I mean, that's a fair question. If
It
you're just
is.
counterfeiting it, if anybody were counterfeiting a bunch of dollars, and then you bought something to the store with counterfeit dollars, well,
It's
do
theft.
you get to keep? Do you get to keep? Yeah, it's theft.
Mm.
Do you get to keep what you just did?
Mm.
No, of course not. So, all right. So why does the central bank get to do that? Why do all these companies get to do this by hypothecating endless amounts of debt? This is
Yeah,
a fair question to ask,
it is.
and it's like this requires some debate, and not from one person. Like this requires like lots of people to weigh in with different experiences
Mm.
and explain like, well, we have to come up with some kind of way to delineate between personal property, the property on which you live and conduct your business and do your thing, versus this monolithic corporate property that may or may not be owned by anybody. It's a public company. It's like these are the questions that need to be brought up.
Yeah. The shell corporation game. It is. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
It
it's
is
all that kind
nuts.
of stuff.
Yeah.
It needs to. These are the kinds of things that need to be talked about and come up with some kind of solution that isn't anti your own people.
Yeah.
Because homelessness, in a country like, for example, in a country as vast as not just the states, but again Australia as well, just because of how huge it is,
Mm.
homelessness really shouldn't be a thing.
It's yeah.
It just really shouldn't.
No.
I mean, that should just be a non sequitur.
Yeah.
You could say maybe homelessness in a very 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 tiny country that has a huge population, that okay, maybe it's a huge problem, but most of the countries are fairly big and there's a lot of room,
Mm.
so it really shouldn't be a thing. And I'm not talking about houselessness or dwellinglessness, like an actual structure, but I mean the idea that you can't own any property because it's $1 zillion because some hedge fund that's come on.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
That's insane to me.
Yeah.
So
It is. It is nuts. Well, hopefully, we can maintain that hope in the future, and the
I'd like
youth
to think so.
will. I think we can. I think it's a good thing to hold on to. Well, thank you. I'll let you go. So thank you so much for joining me again, Axel.
Oh, you're welcome.
It's
You're welcome.
always a pleasure talking to you. I love these conversations. They're great. So thank you
Happy
so
to be
much.
here anytime.
Brilliant. And
Anytime.
thanks to everyone for watching. And we'll